Welcome to Heist. I'm Bradley Hackworth, joined by Jonathan Ems, otherwise known as Doc.
Hello, fellow humans.
And this week we are going to be doing the John Goodman night of King Ralph and Arachnophobia. Which, King Ralph is, I don't know if you caught this, that is John Goodman's first leading role.
You know, I remembered that as it was starting. I was thinking back to when I remember seeing the trailers to this as a kid and stuff like that. And I remember, yeah, this was like right as he became a household name from being on the Roseanne TV show. And this was his first foray into film. I do remember that being kind of a big deal, yes.
And man, I mean, we haven't really talked about this at all, so I don't know how you felt about the film, but it was one of my favorites when I was younger, and watching it again this week, I feel like it got better with age.
Well, I'll tell you, Brad, I have not enjoyed being that guy. Whenever you have brought in films that you have remembered from your youth that you loved, such as The Grandma's Boy and Dutch, and I have not appreciated them. I have not at all liked being that guy. This one turned me around. I fucking loved this movie. This really, yeah, I was nervous going in because of the pattern that we've held in the past on this.
And you didn't want to dislike a John Goodman movie.
No, of course not. No, like I had a lot of reasons to really be worried about how I was going to feel about this one, but boy, it was shockingly better than I expected it to be. Yeah, no, I enjoyed this. This was some good stuff here. This was a fun movie to watch for sure.
Yeah, in comparison to a lot of
making fun of. I don't know who it was making fun of more, the British or the Americans. I think we both took equal hits in this one.
Oh, that like good. See, like I feel like they played that balance real well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, well, let's get into it. So,
yeah,
King Ralph, written by Emlyn Williams, who wrote the novel, and the name of the novel, in case you want to check it out, is Headlong. And a weird connection to last week's episode, Headlong and Stir of Echoes were written in the same year.
Interesting. Okay.
So I did not expect a connection like that at all. I didn't think this would have anything to do with that. But I thought that was kind of cool. They both both of these books were written and released in 1958. Well,
interesting, yeah.
Released in 1958. I don't know how many years they spent writing them.
Written, who knows? Yeah, who knows when they were actually written.
Screenplay by David S. Ward. Directed by David S. Ward as well. Starring, and oh my God, the cast on this. Starring John Goodman, Peter O'Toole, John Hurt, Camille Coduri, and Richard Griffiths. With Jolie Richardson, Leslie Phillips, James Villiers, and Rudolph Walker. I don't think there was a wink leak in this movie.
No, there really wasn't.
No, these were all they chose whoever cast this, they chose it perfectly.
I mean, all like of everybody that was in this movie, the biggest shock was fucking the love interest in this movie is Jackie Tyler. People, Rose Tyler's mom.
I knew you were gonna catch that. Because that's like
Rose
the only
Tyler's...
Doctor Who I saw, and she was in it, and I was like, okay, yeah. All right, yeah,
and God damn, was she a looker in the 90s? Holy, I mean, she's still pretty good in, she's got a bit of that mom thing going on, but she's still like hot mom when she's, in Doctor Who. But holy shit, she was an absolute bombshell in this movie.
Oh, I will absolutely agree with that, like all the way through and through. You got one of the main reasons why early Harry Potter really screwed me up. Mr. Dursley is that guy. He is not mean, right? He is not angry. He is that guy. In my mind, that is who he is. Just forever.
So seeing him be the bastard Dursley was just unsettling for you on another level.
Crazy jarring. I was the entire, because I didn't read the books, because the books are never better than the movies. So I waited until the entire movie series was done. Then I went and read the books. And I'm glad I did it that way. I'm glad that I always do it that way. I was waiting the entire series for Mr. Dursley to shake off the bad stuff and become our just super awesome, lovey Duncan. Like, it was so weird. But he plays a bastard so well, and he's a tremendous actor. That's all that is. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
damn. Uh, kind of. So okay, the way this movie kicks up, it is definitely like an 80s 90s comedy. And
Yeah.
it's British humor. There's a lot of British humor in this, which I think is what makes it age so well. Is you just like
Okay.
the
Yeah.
older you get, the more you age into a lot of the humor on this one.
Yeah. I think you might be onto something there.
And the opening
I
movie, the
think that
entire royal
with
family dies because of a
I
photo
know
shoot in the rain. Loved it.
start off murdering the entire royal family. Who could not love that? I was gonna say though. I was gonna say like to your point of like the whole thing aging well and British humor. I do want to point out my one contention as far as that goes. I think they did the British punk scene dirty. I don't think that was a fair representation.
I thought you were gonna talk about King Zambezi.
Oh, that was
That joke got better with time, I feel.
yeah.
Like how cringy
Maybe
that was. I
yeah.
feel like it's like throwing back because
It,
that doesn't. I mean, there are still people who change their personalities around people, like different people of color, and I get that,
right.
but not like that.
No, yeah, no, that was extra awkward. Yeah, even many years later, it just got more awkward and that much funnier for sure. Yeah,
Oh yeah, no. Watching Kelly's hands just slap her face as soon as that happened, she's like, "No." I was like, "See that is the mark of a good film. That is the mark of something being done right. That it is getting that
correct.
kind of reaction from the audience. Like, I like it. Very good." But yeah, what we were talking about, the entire royal family line, they meet for a photo and they're like, well, we haven't gotten the whole family together like this in forever. And they have all
Right,
the cables going through the water and they're just shaking the water out of the cables like that's going to be effective.
right. Yeah.
They take the photo and the entire royal family dies.
Moral of the story: America. This is why we have OSHA for exactly that reason, right there.
Well, what's kind of cool is in the book, I read this. It wasn't a photo shoot that killed the whole royal line. It was they got together for like a picnic and a dirigible fell on them. So this was a comedy from the very beginning.
Right.
This is a comedy adapted from a comedic book. And I said this about Stir of Echoes, where I would like to read a horror book from the 50s. I kind of want to read a comedy from the 50s and see
That would
how
be
well, like, how the deliveries work, you know?
right. Yeah, that's a good question.
I think that would be a lot of fun. So then, with the royal family dead, everybody goes into this giant search of, all right, we need to find somebody. Where's the Jon
Yeah.
Snow? Where's the bastard? Like, we got to find this.
Yeah.
And
Somebody in the royal bloodline that's still alive. Yep.
mhm.
So they pull out books. All like there's no 23andMe in back then, so they have to go through tons upon tons of birth and death registry books. Like, yeah.
But I gotta say, like when Duncan comes into the room and he sees Cedric played by Peter O'Toole, he's like,
Mhm.
"Right, we found him." They're like, "Great, he's got some strengths and weaknesses. He's an American." Peter O'Toole's delivery on "Quickly, Duncan, the strengths."
Right.
How much because set aside from Duncan and Goodman, there were no goofballs in this movie. It was all straight men in funny situations.
Yeah. Yep.
And I really thought how well just the writing and the situations and everything that got put together was tremendously. I just loved it. Goodman's intro, or our intro to seeing Goodman, and man, that is why I have sang Tiny Bubbles in the back of my mind, and while I'm doing things my entire life, and it started with John Goodman.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
And a real quick thing about this movie, if and I don't, you probably noticed because of well, just how it sounded. every time John Goodman's character was singing, that was John Goodman singing.
I could tell, yes. I guess I didn't really give it much thought, but yeah, no, it was definitely his voice for sure.
Since I was a child, I have waited for the John Goodman album because of this movie. Good Golly Miss Molly has never been sung better than by John Goodman. And I am very sorry to say that to any Little Richard fans. But this movie, like, it's better. I mean, preference. That is subjective. I will admit that it's better. And he's watching the football game behind the piano, and he's singing. Then every once in a while, hey, you shit me.
The whole setup,
he's shit talking the football game while in a singing tone.
Yeah, the whole setup of just how low this guy is. He is a piano player at a bad Vegas piano bar. He's not even paying attention to his job. We find out after the fact that he shares his dressing room with a monkey. That is his opening act, apparently. And it's like, I mean, aside from the fact that, like, short of being just straight up a homeless dude, he's about as, like, far down the class ladder as you can be in America. Like, they really worked hard to go, like, no, this guy, he's already below, as far as the British are concerned, he's already bottom class because he's one of the fucking colonists, But at the same time, even by American standards, this guy is, like, truck stop trash, basically.
Which, in today's era, not really. I mean,
no,
not that bad.
That's the tough. Like by today's standards, he's doing pretty good because he's getting paid to play the piano.
He's got a job. He's working. He's doing his thing. No, by today's standards, that is not a loser. In the 90s standards, that was a loser.
Exactly. Yep.
My, how far we've come. Learning that Grandma Connie was the prince's lover, I thought that was a great scene, and the way that Goodman delivered that, and he thinks the joke is like, oh yeah, and all you need is my credit card number and all this, right? Mm-hmm. And as he keeps going, he's like, do you remember your Grandma Constance? He's like, yeah, Grandma Connie, she was always going on about the way that Goodman realizes that Grandma Connie was always talking about a prince and that this is actually a real thing.
Right.
Subtle moments like that really tell you who the powerhouse actors are.
Yeah.
Like how he's like how he sunk into that realization made me sink into that, like, with him.
Yep.
That is
because it's something like, he's heard the stories from his grandma about the time she was with a prince. Never made the connection that prince was real. Never made the connection that prince was his dad's daddy. And it isn't until this weird little British dude shows up with the family crest that it all clicks together for him. And it's kind of an amazing, quality acting to see all that click together, not in a dialogue, but in the absolute interruption in the middle of a dialogue. And
good.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of plain and simple.
Like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so this movie wasn't a big success, but you can see the roots of how John Goodman became a success.
Oh, absolutely. But at the same time, how has this not become an absolute cult classic?
It's a good question.
I
don't know.
This movie is
that would require
amazing.
Further study. That would require. I don't know if I would call it amazing. It was definitely fun and good. I enjoyed it.
But would call it amazing just because of how much of an influence it actually left on me for my entire life.
Okay.
Like, and that's what I mean. Like, if you the cinematography, not groundbreaking or anything like that, kind of standard for the time. Storytelling, very good, but not groundbreaking or anything like that. No, but I will never forget the scenes in this movie.
If I were to take a guess, and I realize this is jumping forward, but if I were to take a guess, the ultimate end to this movie, still after everything that it does, any sort of points that it might makes jokes that it might make. The movie ends with an actual respectful reverence for the monarchy. That's not cult classic material.
Where that is true, the thing that this film also does is it showcases integrity.
That is true.
And
Also
that is
true.
where that's where I thought it would. Like this is definitely jumping to the end like you just did. We've talked about what I thought, like my hopes and dreams of the 2016 election.
Sure.
It came from this.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay,
like,
I
as I was watching this, as the movie wrapped up, I sat back and went, no damn wonder why I was so stuck on this could happen. I mean, what if we're right there? Come on, just just be that. I wanted him to be my man Goodman.
Okay. I feel you there. Okay.
Like, so, everybody's got their thing.
Yeah.
The aerial shot of that castle and introducing the new King of England. Like, God damn it, I love Duncan. Every single word that came out of his mouth, I just loved his character.
He probably
Amazing.
was having more fun on the set than even Goodman was. Like, he really seemed to just make a meal out of every line.
Had to. How much fun he was having, everything. He had to have the most fun.
He's sharing stage time with TV star John Goodman and silver screen legend Peter O'Toole at the same time. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't be having an absolute party every moment that you're doing that?
Plus John Hurt, plus oh God, who was the guy who played Donovan in Indiana Jones? Was that Rudolph Walker?
I do not remember.
In Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the one who hires Indiana Jones to go find his dad.
Oh yeah, that dude.
That's the guy who played.
Was that him?
That's the guy who played the king of Princess Deep Voice.
Okay, I can kind of see it.
No, this cast was bigger than I'm.
Say, I see the Indiana Jones guy's face. I'm not seeing the Swiss King's face. So that's kind of where I'm missing it here. I can't.
He
quite
wasn't
see
a
it yet.
huge part of this movie. Very, very, very few lines. But every line that he had was, "Oh my God, dynamite!" Like, we'll get there.
Right.
I like the delivery from Peter O'Toole where he tells Goodman, he's like, law prohibits the monarch from interfering with the law and things like that. So you can't solve any problems. And he's like, well, that's good. He's like, however, you can create them. I was like, fantastic.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And they have, haven't they?
Yeah. And, oh my God. But I really enjoyed the conversation. Like, well, you can change your name. Like, John and Edward have been good names throughout the years. And it's like, well, what happened to Ralph? It's like, it just lacks a certain, I don't know. And then he goes into all the different Ralphs. And I'm
and my personal favorite was the first one, top of mind. He was like, no, there's a lot of great Ralphs, like Ralph Macchio. And I'm like, fucking A, you're right. Yes. That's right.
I think my favorite was the last one. Ralph Cramden.
Ralph Cramden. Yeah, that's
not many people are going to be able to get that reference. I get that. Then Cedric goes in, a little temper tantrum you call the Revolutionary War.
No, I know you're
And as a kid, I did not 100% understand that joke. As an adult, I loved that joke.
Yeah.
And then Goodman being like, I don't know, man. We really kicked your asses. He's like, you might want to change your perspective there. He's like, oh, okay, but I still think they kicked our asses. There you go.
And then the very next scene, John Hurt's going like, I can't believe we've got some colonist as a king. Like, they really like drive that whole thing home. Like, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, I mean, I realize it's a common joke, in movies, but sometimes I do wonder, like, amongst the aristocracy of the British, are they still really that bitter about it?
I would have to imagine it's very much like the average American. They don't care. You may have a few out there who are still, oh, that country belongs to us or some crap like that, or I don't know.
Right.
I've never heard anybody say anything like that. It's always just kind of been a joke on the aristocrats.
Right.
But like I said, there are still certain Americans that are salty about certain things, so I'm sure there has to be.
Well, yeah, and well, because it's like the alternate to that is also like, you know, alternatively in a lot of movies of the same ilk, you'll often see like the American military generals reminding the French and British military generals the way we came and saved your ass in World War II. It's like, do we still bring that up that often? I don't know. I only see it in movies, but
That was a big thing, really big thing in like the 90s. 80s and 90s and all that, but that's not really much of a thing anymore.
I guess not now, yeah, but that's the kind of thing I always wondered is like, it's always being brought up in movies. Do we really bring it up that much in real life? And so that's kind of why I wonder about the same thing with this. It's like, it was brought up a lot in movies that the British are still mad about the revolution. Are they really though? Like,
kind of doubt it. It doesn't really make sense that they would be.
No.
But like I said, like I genuinely don't know. The John Goodman learning about the names of all British cuisine and then coming across the spotted dick, which that joke's not going anywhere.
No, that's all that it's going to stay the same because it is still a thing and it is still stupid and it is still a terrible dessert. I don't with all the cuisine available in the world. Why are you still eating that garbage?
Whoa,
England? Seriously.
whoa. Funny name. Looks like bread with herpes. It's a good. It's tasty. It's good.
It's not that good. It's not
that bad. I mean, bangers and mash. I mean, that's just a regular ass food. There's no reason to call that dessert. But
no, but I mean, we have Twinkies now, is what I'm saying, and it's like there's no reason to subject yourself to spotted dick if Twinkies exist. That's all I'm saying. Like,
wow, man! Like I know we don't. I know you're not a big fan. I know you're becoming less and less of a fan of the movie fights. But now we're about to get into some food fights here, because
wow,
really, Twinkie? That is your dessert. That is your dessert item that you go to be the championship of not.
I'm not saying
not Rolos.
I'm not saying it's a champion.
Not
no. I'm not calling it a championship. I'm saying by the very nature of the fact that even the worst of the worst is better, then why would you bother with something that takes more time and effort than just buying a Twinkie?
Okay. Have you had spotted dick?
I think I did like once a while. There is a British style pub in Portland that I visited regularly. I'm like 50% sure I tried spotted dick there. I know I did. I know I once watched someone eat a Scottish egg there once, and I was not a fan of that either. So
I may cut, or no, I'm definitely going to cut this section from the edited episode. I'm just really glad that I think it's just really, really funny that I got to have you say that you tried spotted dick in a bar in Portland, because that there are two different ways to take that, and that
people who are from Portland will know.
That is. See, and that is why Americans don't like spotted dick, because we don't want one. It's just,
right.
Like, our brains go to a certain place when we hear that. Isn't it named after it's named after King Richard, right?
Fucked if I know. I have no idea.
I remember hearing the history of that at one point. Oh, my Google search history is not going to appreciate this one. History of spotted dick.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get one of those mugs, man. They're very popular among writers, and it's a coffee mug that just says "Ignore my search history. I'm a writer." Can't verify if it's true or not.
It says it stems from the Victorian era. There are theories that the name of this steamed pudding refers to its similarity in appearance to a spotted dog.
No.
Right? I'm looking here. I don't think so.
It's not what it looked like to me.
he sees his bedroom, and then, I mean, dude, okay, let me ask you something. When they show like royal bedrooms and things like that, do you honestly think you could ever catch a moment's sleep in a room that big?
No, no,
I
no,
don't think so
no.
either.
Yeah,
That doesn't seem like something
like
that could
that.
happen.
Yeah, no, like way too big and echoey, and like I would like a room like that. I'd be able to hear the spiders crawling in the walls, and I wouldn't be able to sleep at all. Like it's
Well, in
like
the
no,
palace, you'd
no.
probably be able to hear the ghosts of some of the moving on.
Yeah, yep.
But he jokes about having a bowling alley in there, which I very much appreciated that the movie actually paid that off. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed that one. Sees the crown, and not even a moment's hesitation where I don't even think the film recognized how messed up it is to uh call out the fact that the British crown has the Star of India on it.
Yeah, yeah. They weren't even shy about it at all, were they? Yeah.
No, I don't even think the movie,
Yep.
like, it kind of seemed like the movie didn't even realize what they were saying in that.
Probably
Now,
not.
now
No,
the
yeah.
world kind of has a way different view on that, where it's just kind of looking at the British going, hey, give us our shit back.
Right, yeah,
Which,
exactly.
I'm an American. They don't really have anything in mind, but
But still, yeah. And we're not, I mean, we can't give any of our stuff back. I live here now. Like, where am I going to go?
yeah, I mean, well, I mean, like the Star of India. It's literally called the Star of India. Give it back to the
They
Hindu people. This,
they
like,
they
that is
couldn't they
wrong,
could
man.
yeah.
Come on.
They couldn't even go so far as to change its name or anything. Now we're going to call it the Star of Bethlehem or I don't know. Like that's not much better than Star of India, honestly. But still,
No,
it's
it really is. Uh, but this was a fantastic line, and I'm sure it's ripped right out of the book, probably ripped right out of the pages of history. It's a
Mhm.
God's burden to bear. Unfortunately, it must be borne by a man.
Mm.
That that is, I mean, really, 'cause well, with what I mean, come on, we're 2 weeks away from the election. We can talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Being president is not a one person job.
No, it really isn't. Yeah.
There's no reasonable, logical way to say that one person can carry that weight. However, we still put that on one person. It is true. It is a
Mhm.
burden. It is a God's burden. Like a man, like no human can actually handle that. Yet we
Right.
still keep putting it on them.
And it is yeah, it's bizarre. And it's interesting too because it's one of those things like if I've always wondered why, and I suppose there is a matter of like politics and logistics involved as to why, but I've always wondered why it was, we get the announcement of who the vice president, is going to be. Why doesn't any presidential candidate ever name their cabinet, as part of their ticket, as part of their campaign, going, these are the
Oh
people
well,
that
that's
I'm
too
going to
easy.
have.
That's too easy to answer
Hmm.
because let's say Fauci.
Right.
What if one person puts Fauci on theirs, but then the other person can't? So you have the top person in their field that was on one person's ticket that can't be added in because somebody else had to go with the second best or a political option. When realistically, once the president and vice president get in there, whoever's just best at that job should be in the position. And if you have to put it on like a political ticket to vote for, then you kind of eliminate, like every time you eliminate certain people. And I don't think
I
that's a good
suppose that's
idea.
true. I mean, you're probably right, and yeah, and I imagine there's probably even just general basic logistics things to go through. You
I'm
don't
sure.
have
I
time
just
to
don't know it.
you don't have time to interview potential cabinet members while you're campaigning at the same time. That would be a nightmare. I mean, so
True.
I can see that. I can see that as well. But it's also kind of one of those things where it's
I would
like
like to
even right
know who
like
would be in those positions. I'll agree
yeah,
with you. I would like to know that.
like even right now, one of the biggest contentions that I have heard from a lot of people, right, like at this moment, is the fact that if Kamala wins and stays in office, there's no guarantee that Lena Khan is going to stay the head of the FEC, and that has a lot of people really nervous because she's basically been the best thing about the Biden administration so far. But we also know that a lot of Kamala's top donors at this point fucking hate her. So we don't know what's up with that. It would be nice to know ahead of time. There's a lot of people that probably would cast their vote based on that alone.
Oh, hey, well, first off, it would be great to know what's going to happen in the future all the time. So,
Fair.
yeah,
Fair.
I get that. Learning the walk is one of my favorite. Like, it's such a dumb scene, such a small scene, so minor, however, hilarious.
That was brilliant physical comedy on the part of Goodman there. The fact that he is in quick succession doing exactly what he's being told to do while also doing it completely wrong. Like, oh my God, it was so damn funny. Like that scene probably was my first big belly laugh of the movie was that bit right there because
Agreed.
fucking A, that was good. Yeah.
No, I think I would agree with that. My second one was right out. Oh, no. Then we get John Hurt as Lord Percival Greaves, and we find out pretty quick he wants to supplant the throne.
This is the second time in a row, not in a row, the second time we've seen John Hurt playing the literal devil.
Yes, and he's so good at it.
He really is.
And
he really is.
Through all these movies that we have had John Hurt appear in, I keep practicing his voice, trying to access it. Every time I sound like a beetle.
He's way too unique of a sound. I can't. I've never heard anyone do a good John Hurt.
No,
like,
I can't.
Honestly,
I can't do that voice and be deep because that's what I need to do. I need to be deep while I'm doing it. But every time I just sound like a beetle.
Yeah, no, that's
not even close.
Wrong.
No, that's the thing. That's the tone though, but deeper. Like that is almost everything about it, but deeper. And no matter how deep my voice is, when I go to that kind of voice, there's no I can't get deep with that one.
I would recommend going back to V for Vendetta because his final speech remind them why they need us. If you can get that speech, that's probably where the key is listen to that and try to do that speech. That's probably the most John Hurt that I've ever heard John Hurt do.
We will probably I was gonna bring this up later, but I was thinking we should do V for Vendetta around election day.
Oh God. I actually okay,
but
we'll talk about
not
that.
election day. I was thinking inauguration.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Because
see, I had another like post-election movie in mind as well.
All right, we'll see what happens. All right, my real big laugh, if set aside from falling into the water, was when he gets into the tub and he puts the crown on and he tries to catch that milk dud and the crown goes right into the water.
Right into the bath water. The freaking crown with the Star of India and everything right into the bubble bath.
Yep, and the thing is, Goodman's reactions, just being a small child, hoping not to get scorned, it was the whole movie. It was too good.
It just now occurs to me, though, there might be another layer of that joke. And I don't know if it's intentional or not, because it literally was just it just hit me. Because you know the Eureka story, right? What's his name? Oh, Christ, I can't remember. It was this the scientist who came up with the idea of volumetrics, who basically figured out that you got into the tub, figured out that his body displaced the water, and he jumped out of the bathtub yelling Eureka.
Okay.
That was about the crown. Because they had just gotten a new crown and they needed a way to verify, because they were told the crown was made of solid gold, and they asked him to figure out how to verify that the crown was solid gold without destroying it or beating it up or anything like that. And so I want to say Archimedes, but yeah, basically he was the one who figured out that a certain a material of the same weight, if he got a chunk of verified gold that weighed the same amount as the crown, which was supposedly solid gold, and put them into water, the amount of water displaced would be the same for both of them if the crown was real gold. And so, yeah, it was bath water that he figured it out. And so that was just kind of one of those oh my God, I'm wondering if that's what that is. The crown into the bath water. Is that what this joke is? But no,
I
it's probably not. I'm probably drawing too many conclusions here. It probably was just the joke of dropping the crown in the bath.
that's where I'm gonna take it, but I am going to give you the pat on the back. That was Archimedes.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Okay, so that was Archimedes.
Did you look it up, or did someone tune in?
No, I looked it up.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to keep everything going right. Peter O'Toole. Think, Duncan. You've just been made King of England. Where would you go? Right to a strip club where they have America night.
Exactly.
God damn it!
Yes,
this movie
100%.
is so. I love this movie.
I felt seen in that moment. I really did.
Yeah. Well, that was me, like when I was in my 20s and I was in the army and we deployed and we were like over in Germany and we had like 2 hours of free time and like everybody's kind of looked at each other and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" Like, strip club? We were about to, we were deploying and we were like, that was literally like, no. So we all just did the exact same thing. No, so I'm gonna have to agree with you. Like,
dude, yeah, no, brother, like you know me, I've got friends who are strippers, and they have all told me about how like Fleet Week in Portland pays most of their bills for the year. So you don't get.
Holy crap! I forgot about Fleet Week. I haven't thought about that in easily like 8 years at least. Wow, not just the strippers, we made good bank on that one too.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, no, it's a good time. It's a solid
they came
time,
through.
man.
They bought a lot of pieces. They bought a lot of art, and they shipped it off to their families. Like we made a lot of money during Fleet Week.
No, I mean that's one of those things where it's like they talk about how like some of these like big tourist events and stuff like that in a lot of cities, how it's like it's like half chaos and barely worth it sometimes. But I'll tell you, man, Fleet Week, because not only do the sailors come in to spend a shitload of money, but holy shit, are they nice about it? Like, they are some of the nicest folks that I will ever meet in Portland. Are the dudes there on leave? So not to you, I take it.
Well,
are you saying that? Are you saying it's because I'm pretty? I've got a biased opinion.
100%. Yeah. That plain and simple. They get off the boat, they see Doc, and go, "My God."
I'm gonna be nice to that guy.
No, that's just like that might be the only time that I have ever heard a civilian refer to military members on leave as polite.
I mean, they were to me,
because
and like I said,
when me and my guys, when
they
we
paid
would
my
go,
friend's rent, so
okay, sure, okay, when they're coming off a boat and going to see strippers and stuff like that. Yeah, they may be on their best behavior because they don't want to get booed from the bar. Okay, no, okay. But then I'm thinking like some of my Marine buddies, some of my Army buddies, like when we've like all gotten together and we've gone out. I mean, God, I remember I came back from my second deployment. This was when I was like over 200 pounds, solid jacked, like nothing but muscle. And I was sitting, I guess, too close to the door. And this guy like walks to the door and he comes in and is like, "Whoa, big guy." And I'm just sitting there like with my beer. I'm like, "What's going on?" And I just kind of turn around and he's like, "Oh, you think you're," I'm like, "Oh, you're one of those." I'm like, "No, buddy, just at this point in my life, I'm just kind of jacked." And I didn't give a damn.
Right, yeah.
One of my buddies was like, "Nope." And he got up and immediately went, and he started like squaring off with the guy. His uncle picked up a teeny tiny little table I've told you the story before. I'm just realizing.
I don't remember it though. Go ahead.
He picked up this little American flag that was sitting on the table because like we just got home, so the town was celebrating. Oh, and nice. He picked it up and he shoved it into the guy's mouth and then punched him in the face.
Oh God. Oh.
After that, it was. I mean, it wasn't a huge rumble. Maybe like 15 people were involved in it. Like it wasn't crazy big, but it was in the bar. It spilled out into the parking lot and all this. Cops got called and showed up and these guys found out that these were Air Force guys, and they found out that their buddy just decided to start some stuff with a guy who just got from an Army guy who just got home from a deployment. Cop showed up and went, "Who started it?" Nobody was saying a single thing. And then they kind of looked at the bartender and went, "Who started it?" I went, and she just looked, she's like, "Them." And like, they were shocked. They were just like pure shock. They're like, "I thought we were all going to be quiet." And like, okay, that's your little Air Force games that you guys come to the locals' town and that's how you get out of trouble with the locals. We're the locals. And we're military who just got home and it's a small town. You're not going to pull, you're not going to be able, yeah. And that was one of the reasons that I was like, I don't want to do this. Because I mean, later on, like the next year, then we had some major 50, 100-man brawls that would go down.
Jesus.
Well, because later on that year, the flood hit my town and decimated like a third of the town. A bunch of people were without their homes. What they were doing at night, they were going to the bars just so they had a place to be. And yeah, you can't imagine the kind of violence that kicked up when everybody's life was that kind of stressful.
I guess not. Yeah, and I suppose, I mean, maybe I am sheltered. I mean, like I've never.
No, we had
even heard it.
We had the police, we had ATF, we had Border Patrol, we had many law enforcement agencies that all came to our town because it got too rough.
Oh, geez. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Now, is it the only? Yeah. All I've ever, I mean, I'm sure there must be. I mean, to sit here and say that it's never happened, I'm sure is ridiculous. There probably are a good number of fights that break out. It's what happens when you cut loose like that. Mm-hmm. But the most stories I've ever heard, like I said, I got stripper friends who pay all their bills on Fleet Week. I got a friend who literally, that's like, I'm not kidding. I'm not going to name any names on this one, but I got a friend who said that's basically the only time she gets laid. She said there's two strip clubs in Portland that are non-drinking, and so they allow 18 and over. And when Fleet Week happens, she goes and hangs out there and takes teenage boys home.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. Like, what?
Like 18 and 19-year-olds.
Thank you.
On
Thank
leave.
you. Okay.
I said Fleet Week, right? Yeah.
You did, but you also didn't clarify whether your friend was one of the sailors or not.
Oh, my bad. Okay, yes. No. She is a Portland native who, yes, when the sailors come to town, she goes to the 18 and over strip clubs and picks up the boys who aren't quite old enough to drink yet.
Okay.
And gives them the time of their leave.
You get my worry though, right?
Yeah, I do. Yes, my bad.
All right. Back to the movie.
I've been in Portland for too long, clearly.
Okay, fair. Back to King Ralph. And this is a scene like in that strip joint, we get to meet Camille Coduri and
Jackie Tyler for the rest of us.
Well, yeah, Jackie Tyler for all you Doctor Who people. Or Doctor Whovians, I don't know what you refer to that as.
Either one's fine.
Yeah. It still cracks me up, the Trekkies versus the Trekkers.
Yeah, well, I mean...
The only instance in this entire world where you go, hey, when you talk to me, you use the hard R. There's no other situation like that, and it absolutely really cracks me up that a group of people specifically set themselves up just to do that. And why? Yeah. What was wrong with Trekkie? And why is Trekker better?
Well, because there is, and I could not tell you where the line is. I certainly don't know, but the general feeling is that, especially leading up to the 2000s, from like the 70s to the 2000s, Trekkie was very much a derogatory term for people who are unhealthily obsessed with the show. And so those of us who would prefer to just be casual fans and identify with the fandom, but don't want to be associated with the crazies, we prefer to be called something else, and we just sort of settled on Trekker.
Okay,
I don't know. I don't know why. I was not at that meeting, but that apparently is to my knowledge.
But I am going to tell you how that does look to most people. If you are one of the ones who are protesting what you are being called, you are one of the crazy ones.
I personally, like I said, where do you draw the line? I don't know. I personally don't. I've never really felt the need to draw that line. You can call me a Trekkie or a Trekker. I literally don't give a shit.
Like that's no.
but
Like I think it's funny. I just think it's funny. The hard
yeah,
R is the thing they really like that. Like
yeah,
that just
but
desire.
I know I'm in the minority on that one. I'm a person who subscribes to many fandoms, but deliberately chooses not to associate with most of the people who subscribe to the same fandoms that I do. So, you know.
No, I get that. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I'm a big fan of a lot of things as well, but I don't share that fan because oftentimes when I find myself actually talking to people who do share a lot of the same interests as me, I'm like, okay, you took it too far, and now I understand what people think I am.
Right.
Like, no.
Yes, exactly.
It's good, and I admit that it's good, and I like it. You want to live there.
Yeah.
And like you're trying to act like you are currently living there. We're not the same. It would be a cool goal. I have to admit, like a lot of the Star Trek world, that is a great goal. A lot of the philosophies behind it are good.
Sure, yeah.
But still. Back to this. Camille Coduri hits the stage to give that.
I do want to give one final point.
What's up?
What you just said. Pound to it, okay? Yes. To agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of good philosophies and things to build upon in the Star Trek universe. Okay. Learning Klingon is not how you get there. learning and promoting Esperanto is
actually that is true. Yeah. But I mean, like it is really, that is funny that you kind of bring that up, because all of these like fantastical fantasy worlds and stuff like that, not fantasy, excuse me, science fiction.
Right.
You get there through technological advancement, progressive ideologies, and politics that fund these advancements.
Right.
You can't really talk like it's what you want if you're actively voting against it all the time.
I know, right?
That is kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
But that was my final thought on before getting back to it. You good?
Yeah. We're good.
Okay. Love that she thinks that he's joking about like being the king and all that. And then I love clever wordplay. I just do. That is a me thing. I just love it. Uncle Sam to Buckham.
Yeah.
Man.
See, what I liked is that her stripper name, what I thought was clever, her stripper name in this, she like it's American Night and it was Mirage. What was it again? Shit. Mirage Palace. Oh, I think was what it was.
Was it just a couple names of casinos from Vegas?
Exactly. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It's like she's here straight from Vegas, and they gave her name, and her name is literally just the names of 2 casinos in Vegas.
Welcome to the stage, Miss MGM Grand.
Exactly. But yeah, and then, but let's also talk about the fact that his first act as king is flagrant abuse of power. like she's got a very good point when he barges in and is like, "Hey, I'm the king, baby. Let me take you on a date." And it's like, she's like, bouncer, get him out of here. And of course the bouncer can't get him out because the king's security is there to stop him. Like, we're talking like straight up abuse of power just to ask a stripper out on a date here.
Where that is true, their corruption of power was on display. His ignorance was all over the place.
No, it's true. He really is. Like, yeah, I guess that's the thing, is that it's obvious that he's not deliberate in his villainy here. He literally is just a dumbass who happened to luck into a situation and yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not a corrupt dude, just a dopey guy who is way out of his league.
Right, yeah.
Learning cricket. Oh God, when they're teaching him cricket.
Oh,
and he treats it like
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did enjoy that. Yeah, he fly balls the cricket ball in through the window. Like, I'm like, Hell yeah! Like that was what.
But
that was one of those, like,
his whole setup
America,
to
brother.
it
Like,
was was just like he was chewing that scenery to absolute bits. Just
mm-hmm. And even me,
bowler.
right? Yeah, and even me, I'm not much of a sports guy, but I do know just barely enough about both baseball and cricket to know just how fucking funny it was that he ran the bases like a home run on that one. That was that in the script, or was that just John Goodman being brilliant?
I
That's what
I
wanna
could
know,
see
because
that going
feels like,
either way.
right, yeah.
I mean,
Because
really.
that feels like too natural of a just, hey, wouldn't it be funny if kind of thing, you know?
And then after that, we get John Hurt shows up to hire Coduri to help tank Ralph, which I really enjoyed her character's integrity in this. Like, you understood her situation, you understood her position, everything like that.
Right.
John Hurt was just good.
Yeah.
Like, his character.
No, it was a solid scene.
It really was.
For a scene that did not have either of the stars in it, that just had two supporting characters in it. It was a star-studded scene in and of itself with their performances.
So what I'm going to say here, where you're saying that, where you were thinking about the cricket and wondering if that was an outtake or something left in, that time where he's pouring the tea and brings the tea back and accidentally picks up the milk. There's no way that was on purpose. I watched that scene like 4 times, and that was pure accident. And Peter O'Toole is doing everything he can not to laugh. That was not part of the script. That was pure accident. And how well Goodman played that off.
And that would be an easy thing to do too. To just basically, like, the easiest way to set that up would be to go like, here's the scene. John, you serve Peter tea. Here's your tea set. And we're not telling you shit. Like, roll the camera.
I could kind of see that. I honestly could. And I did think that there were, as they were going through this montage, I honestly did wonder if that's what they did. The only thing that makes me second guess whether that is what they did or not is how expensive film was.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Like, it wasn't digital. So they would have been burning through film nonstop doing that. So that makes me question that a little bit. But at the same time, that had to have been a scene that the comedy was going to be something else, and then that happened.
So, well, and for me personally, my favorite part of it was after he serves it and he even sips the tea, he gets his finger stuck inside the handle of the teacup, because that's happened to me when I was a kid. Like, you got to learn the hard way that you're not actually supposed to put your finger in there. You're supposed to hold it on the sides. That's not what this cup is for. Like, but yeah.
The having the late night and everything like that, finally catching up to him, and then learning of King Zambezi, and then full on passing on. Then this is where you're talking about where they're walking away. It's like, well, he's a colonial. I mean, what can you expect? And all this stuff. It's like, man, they are dogging the shit out of this guy the whole way through.
Right. Yeah.
And the whole montage over the dating.
Yeah.
That was,
and here's what I found interesting.
Super fun.
Yeah. Well, what I found interesting about it too, and because but it does kind of make sense now that you're telling me that it came from a book from the 50s. Because at the time that this movie came out, when they're sitting there telling him, like, hey, you can't date a commoner, you're king. The last king to date a commoner had to abdicate his throne over it all the whole time. While this movie is out saying this, Princess Diana is a fucking thing. So
yeah.
So that might have been
how this movie got greenlit.
I suppose it's possible.
That might be like what was going on in that era. That might be how this movie actually got funded.
Someone wanted to try and make a point there. Yeah, that's possible.
Coduri shows up, and when he tries to offer the meal, and he's like, "Would you care for some spotted?" Like, how much he struggled to get that out. Oh man,
because he's an American on a first date. There's one word you're not supposed to say out loud.
One? Those two words together in an American mind that had never known about these things at any point, he's sitting there at a
Right.
table on a date offering a woman, "Do you want some herpes penis?" Like that is a rough
It's
situation, man. I get it. Oh, but how much he sold the struggle on that one. I loved it.
Yep.
And playing Scrabble with royalty would be a nightmare.
I imagine so, yes. And again, flagrant abuse of power.
Yeah,
And
we're
she's
using the
like,
King's
"Yo
English,
is not,"
right?
yeah, yeah. She's like, "Yo is not a word." He's like, "Hey, who's the fucking king here?" Like, like that.
But also, yo is definitely a word.
I mean, it is now, sure, yes.
Hey, in Spanish, it has meant I for as long as the Spanish language has existed.
But the rules of Scrabble are English.
Play Scrabble in Spanish.
Okay, all right, fine.
One of another big laugh for me was when the music, like the musician shows up. He's like, he tries to get some music going, and then they go and like kidnap some musicians to come and play, and like it's at the end of the date.
I can see it too, because it's like, yeah, can we get some music in here? And they're like, got it. Like, go get some music. Like, no. Like, we just really meant like in the speakers, but yeah, okay. Like, you got to remember your king here of England. They're gonna take these things literal.
They are going to go like all the way. Yes.
Yeah.
And then he finds out that if he's gonna date her, it has to be only at the palace. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a run here. If you want to jump in, just jump in, okay?
Will do.
All right. The laps in the parking lot. Then we get to see so the laps in the parking lot, and she's teaching him the Order of the Kings and all of this, which comes in handy very well at the end of the movie in a very funny way.
I felt a little robbed because like I kind of get, it's like your usual history thing. They've got to know who all their past kings were, and they've obviously put together this really cool little limerick and poem to help them remember it. When I was in school learning about all of our past presidents, where was my limerick, motherfuckers? I mean, come on. I still have no idea who, like, if not for the play Hamilton that came out when I was in my 30s, I probably still wouldn't know who our first three presidents were. So, you know what, American education system, get your shit together.
His new room, complete with the bowling alley and all that he asked for. And then we see Mr. Dursley. We got Duncan hammering away on that trap set and then gets busted. Oh, he was not supposed to be an angry man. Learning how to meet a royal, going through and practicing his lines. The barbecue where he drops the thing on the ground, picks it back up. Oh, look over there. Like just a montage of like John Goodman just being the everyman American that like we all kind of are, and like kind of all of our dads are like. And it's like,
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, stop making fun of this guy. He's awesome.
That could have been an alternative title for this movie: is Your Dad is King.
I would have. That's actually not a bad title of a story. That is kind of funny. I just had like 3 different ideas for the different stories coming to mind. That's kind of fun how that works. Yep. Learning to ride a horse.
That's your writer's prompt for today, everyone. Your dad is king.
The scene where he's learning to ride a horse and then he falls off that horse onto that cable.
Right, yes.
Oh my God. Kelly even asked, she's like, do you think that was on purpose? And I'm like, it had to be. And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, no. John Goodman is just that good.
Yeah,
like that.
Yep, he really is.
When you're watching a movie and you wonder if any of it is on purpose, all of it was because Goodman is that good.
He 100% is, yeah. And that is a dude who does not have a very easily matchable body type. So he's been doing his own stunts for his entire career.
Yeah, that is true. God, I'm sitting here thinking about it, and he's getting up there.
He really is. I actually caught a clip of the new Connors show a couple weeks ago. Didn't see the whole show. I caught like 5 minutes of it, and
he's old.
He's got, you know how like old people, how they thin out? He's really thinned out. He's like, I kind of was worried for him for a second there.
I mean, when you've been a big guy like that for your entire life, when you do reach that old age, you're gonna have the jowls. That's just kind of
Yeah,
guaranteed.
that's true.
Like it is what it
Well,
is.
I'm still not used to a thin Kevin Smith. Like every time I
No,
see Kevin Smith now, I'm like, who the fuck is this weirdo?
no, that definitely still catches me off guard too.
Yeah.
The bowling alley lane, I love that. The Ferris wheel scene where he falls asleep on her, and you kind of see where she's starting to struggle with it, and she's having the integrity coming in. And then it hurt me when Gordon tipped off the press. I was rooting for him. I wanted him to be one of our guys. You know, I wanted him to be on the good side.
Because it almost seemed like there was that endearing moment earlier on when he's introduced, and he's like, can you get me something? Well, what do you want? He's like, I don't know, I've just never had anyone get me anything before. And he's like, would you like an assortment of chocolates? And then we get the whole like spread of candy and stuff like that. Like it's moments like that we thought we were seeing like a weird like friendship kindle between these two. And so yeah, when he turns out to be the turncoat, yeah, that especially hurt, because it was like, oh man, he was like one of our guys, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, which kind of makes it, you know, when you know later on when King Ralph finds out about it, like you can tell how upset he is because he's feeling that.
Yeah, like that was the thing. Like there's only until we get to that scene, there is almost none like it.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's a quick turn on
when he becomes serious. Actually. He becomes a serious character, and
it's finding out about Gordon that turns him serious.
Mm-hmm. The etiquette lessons on tape, very, very common thing now. That is not something that they would have done back then. And the fact that they had Duncan sitting there, no scratching your private parts,
and he says, but that's everything.
I know. Like, well, that's everything. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And then meeting the king of King, I think it was like Malembo or something like that, of Zambezi.
Yeah.
And the king of Zambezi, African nation, it's a black guy, and Goodman is trying like, welcome your majesty. Like, he's really trying to practice this whole thing as he's coming in. But as soon as he sees the black man coming in, he's like, hey, what's up, Holmes? Oh, like, my God.
God. Oh, no. But,
massive cringe.
That actually reminded me, bringing that up. I totally forgot to bring this up. We did talk about the scene, and I forgot to bring it up. But I actually wrote down what I think was my favorite line. And it was back when they were first telling him about Zambezi. When they were saying, like, there's things happening in Africa, and there's a bunch of new states popping up. And Ralph responds, well, you know, he says, let's just sit on that. And he says, there's no problem that can't be ignored if we really put our minds to it. I wrote that down. I'm going to make that a cross stitch one of these days. Like that. There's no problem that can't be ignored if we really put our minds to it. I think when I actually do build a set in here, I think that might be hanging on the wall behind me.
That'll be a good one. That would be a good one. You got to reference the movie though. You got to give it its props.
Well, of course it'll say King Ralph at the bottom of it, for sure. Yeah, I'm not a monster. No,
I mean, like you got to do, like what you said you would do is what I was saying. You got to give it that little piece of like it was signed by King Ralph, like a quote by a king or something like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, King Ralph the First.
There you go. The first of his name. But then he Goodman, like his character, he's going through trying to give this introduction, and he just panics and he looks at me and he's like, you want to go get a beer? And that absolutely is the thing that saved it. It like worked it out so well. We find out that Zambezi, or King of Zambezi, wants to make Africa's very first car and put it into production. And how serious and how genuine, and like you really, everything about how he's talking is very respectful, professional, and everything, until you listen to the damn words that are coming out of his mouth. And he's like, the number one thing that all car owners ask, will this get me laid? and the look the king gives him back, like, did he really just say that? But then
He's not wrong.
they finish their bar darts game, and
Yeah,
then they go into this
they go out to a
incredible
British
scene.
pub. Yeah, they go out to a British pub. They're playing darts. They're having a bro-ish conversation, and you get the sense, when King Ralph beats the King of Zambezi at darts. Now all of a sudden the competitive side has popped in, and he's like, "All right, double or nothing." Cut to another scene. They're not playing darts anymore. Now they're playing spears.
But I the way that they drew the target, all the reporters, the dignitaries, all that felt like an actual, truly heartwarming scene that I would love to have seen happen in real life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like that is,
And I
like that sentiment
I,
where like the average voter, they go like, well, he seems like the kind of guy I'd like to have a beer with. I think
Right.
this is the kind of thought that goes into their minds when they have that kind of that question
you're not
asked.
wrong. Yeah. Like, and that's kind of that's what people kind of get frustrated about, is that everyone kind of feels like, all of these grand worldwide problems, like literally, how come we can't just talk to each other? Just like screw all the political bullshit. Just be like, dude, let's have a beer. Let's chill out. Let's get rid of all the pomp and circumstance and political bullshit. Let's just talk seriously about really what's up. And we can't ever seem to do that. And the realism of that, how realistic that is, I don't know. I have never been a diplomat, but
Yeah.
that's but that's the thing, is like there is that sort of instinctual feeling that literally, if we could just get rid of the bullshit, that these would be easy problems to solve, and we all just kind of yearn for just one shot to test it, maybe just one, maybe.
I do hear where you're coming from with that.
Mhm.
A great moment for this film is when the call comes in from what is it called? The ambassador. And they find out that that the King of Zambezi can't remember when he's had such a good time.
Oh, it was the prime minister.
The prime
who said it,
minister.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then like when Cedric and Duncan start running to each other to give each other like the double high five, then like,
Right.
tea. like they catch themselves.
Right. We're British. Mhm.
Like, oh damn it, our colonialism is showing. That was a scene. I really love that they almost broke, and they did break, and then they tucked it away so fast. That damn British repression.
Right. Yep.
We can't have fun. We're British.
That's right.
Oh my God. Then they go hunting with the dogs. No.
This was the part that bothered me. This was the one thing that I felt, of all of the making fun of British and making fun of Americans that they had going on in this, they totally missed an opportunity to make King Ralph better at guns than them. Instead, they made him suck with them.
Oh, good point. They could have made the American kind of, yeah. I didn't think about that, but they did kind of miss a joke on that. Yeah, they go out hunting, and then Ralph accidentally shoots the pup in the leg.
Right. And all the leading right up to that, he is showing flagrantly horrible, proper.
Well, yeah, he's holding the gun like this.
Right. Yeah.
Which was great.
It's like, dude, you're like, not only are you an American, you're from fucking Vegas, bro. Come on. Who are you kidding?
What? Where are you going with that? Like, if you say like Texas or Kentucky or North Dakota or something, but
Vegas isn't that far from Texas. Vegas isn't that far from Texas when it comes to that.
Vegas?
Yeah.
Really? What do you hunt in Vegas?
Gangsters.
Okay. You aren't gonna have a rifle like a hunting rifle in Vegas. I get that you have gun violence, but what I'm talking here, I'm talking Texas, Kentucky, I'm talking hunting. Rifles.
How to hold. Look, look. All right, I realize that this is being maybe a little, broad here, but if you know how to hold an Uzi, then you know how to hold a hunting rifle. All right, they aren't that far apart.
You're really telling on yourself here.
All right, fair. All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and just just because I need people to know that I know the difference. Yo, yeah. There's a huge difference between holding a Uzi and holding or like a pump action rifle. Oh my god! See, I can't even think about it. Like, nah, I'm moving on. I'm just moving on. That's too weird for me. So the guy goes in front.
That's like that scene from Parks and Rec where he was just like, I don't have time to go into that. Actually, no. You know what? It's going to bother me if I don't. Like,
I've had those moments, and I'm not gonna deny that this is a little bit. I'll agree. Okay. Yes. Then he has that guy that sits in front of him to get knighted, and Goodman like slices his ear. He's like, "Ooh, you're gonna want to get something for that." Like,
I appreciated they went so far as to they actually put blood on the dude's ear in the scene after it happened like that. I'm like, wow, no, they really. It wasn't just a sight gag. They were like, no, we're gonna let it be seen that he got him. He really got this poor dude.
This is the moment that, so Goodman is trying to escape for the night, and then Gordon winds up helping him, but informing John Hurt, which Hurt calls and facilitates the setup, and then they head to a Burger King, which, nice call having the king go to Burger King. That little,
sure, why not?
Little cheeky. I expected a McDonald's. I don't know why, but...
I mean...
Bigger advertiser.
Maybe, yeah. I think there might have been. I think I remember hearing somewhere that Burger King originated in England, so maybe it was kind of that whole just sort of across the pond handshake that's who they're going to go with instead of McDonald's.
I cannot believe that. Only because I cannot believe the Royals would allow a parody on royalty like that. Like, I'm guessing, like, maybe now, but I'm guessing as old as Burger King is,
The Whopper is literally British slang for big fucking thing.
Oh, so. You are right. Haha. But it was started in Miami.
Okay, all right, yeah. I don't remember where I heard that, but it must have been in like a TV show or something. And I'm sure TV shows for facts.
But I am like, I'm wondering. That does make me think, because there are like British rules where you could not mock the monarchy. Like, so.
Right. That's true.
That's where my big doubt on that one came in.
That's fair. It's a good point. All right.
The photographer goes and tries to get that shot, and then Coduri spritzes it like with the ketchup.
Oh, right. Yeah.
One of the dumbest laughs that this movie gives me is when the guy gets the burger that the king drops on the ground, and as they run away, "Your Majesty, I've got your burger."
Yeah.
Like he's gonna take it back.
It's like one bite of it that's left too. Like all the rest's on the floor.
No, I love like little things like that. Really crack me up. Very romantic. The dance lessons in the park, but they get caught on camera.
Right.
And I really did enjoy that. And the
scenes between these two were like, that's the thing. The scenes between these two were oddly romantic. Like there were comedic moments to just kind of play up what a dopey, dude he was. But at the same time, there was genuine sincerity. Like you were saying before about, the Ferris wheel. Like he's they're on a Ferris wheel together, and he falls asleep laying on her shoulder. And it's like, these are some genuinely sweet moments between these two. As much as a dope as this guy is, he's like, you can totally see how she's fallen for him, because he's genuinely lovable. He's just a kind of a big, dumb, nice guy,
Yeah, I will definitely agree with that. Okay. I know I jumped the gun with that laughter a little bit. I wasn't laughing at that scene. The Coduri shows up and quits, and then John Hurt, "Come back here, you little strumpet."
Oh, I know.
Like, I rather enjoyed that.
Right, because it's like literally exactly what he wanted. Like, she's coming in full integrity. I'm not taking your dirty money. Why? Because she's actually fallen in love with him. They are going to have a real relationship, and that is exactly what he wanted to have happen to ruin him with. Like, he could not have asked for a better development.
There was, this is what I was laughing at.
Mm-hmm.
the new oil deposits found, and they want the British to be able to do it. So there's a little bit of high pressure situation with the Finnish king coming in.
Right.
And this is a callback to an earlier moment in the film that I'd never caught before. When Goodman says that he wants to go out on the town, he wants to see something, he's having a craving for sushi. And then
Right,
they're
yeah.
like, that's not a good idea. It's like, why? Are the Japanese dangerous?
Oh,
Then,
right. Yes, I did catch that. Yes, and then when they're saying,
and then
like,
right here,
they
the new oil deposits are found and the Japanese are competing. And Goodman goes, I've heard they can be a problem here.
right. Yes, yeah. I caught that. I was like, oh, that's good. That's yeah.
Super subtle.
I appreciated that as well. Yes, that was a really good little 1-2 for there. Yeah.
No, that made me very happy. Just because it's kind of like watching Shrek when you're like a kid watching Shrek versus an adult watching Shrek. I was like
Yeah.
perfectly in the middle when Shrek came out, so I didn't really get to experience it for the first time as either. I caught like
right, okay.
half of the jokes, and I was laughing at a bunch of the kid jokes. So
Yeah. This for me growing up, I got the same experience with the Muppet Show. Growing up on the Muppet Show and then watching it again as an adult and going, "Oh my God!"
Oh yes, and this Christmas we will be covering A Muppet Christmas Carol. That
okay,
that is
all right.
hands down, that is the best Christmas Carol, the best version.
I can agree with that.
Like,
Yes, 100%.
I cannot think of another one that even comes close to competing. Scrooged was fun.
I was gonna say Scrooged might be a close second, but
no.
but it still is beat. It still is handily beat. Yes, by Muppets.
See, the Muppets is the Muppets Christmas Carol is a comedy with fantastic acting.
Yes,
Scrooged is comedy with
Mhm.
comedic
Yeah.
acting. I don't think there are any genuine serious moments in there. I mean, Bill Murray's the whole movie.
There is one serious moment.
Is it the death scene?
Yes,
Okay.
with the homeless guy.
Oh no, I was referencing homeless guy. You're thinking Groundhog Day.
Nope. No,
Where's the homeless guy in Scrooged?
Homeless guy in Scrooged, yes. When one of the last things he sees from the Ghost of Christmas Present is he sees a guy who he refused to help on the street who was homeless. He finds him frozen to death on the streets.
Oh, right. Wow. It's been
That
a
scene
while.
haunted me as a kid. That's why I still remember it now. It may be like one of 4 scenes I can recall for that movie from memory after so many years.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That was
Yeah.
good. Bill Murray is not Michael Caine.
No.
No.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
No matter how
100%.
much love I have for Bill Murray, he is
Mhm.
not Michael Caine. And Michael Caine playing Scrooge, and when death was taking him to go look at his own tombstone,
Right.
whoa, that level of acting. Also, Michael Caine, I'm not used to being afraid of Michael Caine. Even as an adult, watching him be angry Scrooge at the beginning of that movie, he is intimidating and kind of scary. I am not used to being scared of Michael Caine is just amazing.
Yeah, you know what? You just reminded me. I got to write down a movie real quick before I forget it. The first movie I ever saw Michael Caine in.
That would be a low Dirty Rotten Scoundrels for me.
Okay. Not for me.
Well, I mean, you're 10 years older, so sure. I think.
Right, yeah.
I'm not sure how much older you are than me.
I'll when the time comes and I'm ready to suggest this movie, I'll let you know what it's called.
Okay. Then he finds out that he's getting married and tries to quit. And another scene, another line that just, it makes me laugh way harder than it probably should. John Goodman is packing up all of his stuff. He grabs his shirt, and then Peter O'Toole, oh no, that shirt is not yours. I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard.
That was a great scene too, because yeah, he's like that's it. I don't want to be king anymore. You know, you're not. You know, you won't let me date the woman I want to date. You're making me marry some chick I've never met. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. And immediately O'Toole is like, you can't quit, Ralph. You know, and he's like, what happened to your highness? He's like, you don't want to be king anymore. And so it's like immediately O'Toole is like, all right, you don't want to be king? Fine. I will treat you like a commoner. I am going to feed you your own asshole.
Which he does, and the way he does is like, you've never finished anything in your life, have you, Ralph? Like,
Right, yeah.
like the way he uses his name like a cuss word. like, like, dude, Peter O'Toole, my God.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, he crushed the scene. Goodman crushed the scene. Like, this movie really does explain this movie and Roseanne. It explains why Goodman became Goodman.
100%,
You
yes.
you really see it right from the beginning. Coduri calls and breaks it off, and it was nice. Like, it was there was understanding. There was like the way that happened. That actually, like, they handled that with maturity and
Yeah.
like logic, and I really appreciated that. Neither of these two were actually the bad guys in this movie, and I
Right,
really
yeah.
loved that.
You usually when you get a scene like this, someone has to become the bad guy in the argument. There's
Somebody has
like,
to go
you know,
hot-headed. There has to be something to apologize for later in the movie.
right, yeah, but no, that doesn't happen with these two. They literally are just both like, yeah, you have a good point, and I'm really sad, and that's the conversation,
And this might
and it's
be
heartfelt.
this might
Again,
oh
bringing back to, I was gonna say, just like again bringing back to how every scene with these two is genuinely sweet. You know?
okay, true. The Hurt sets up the false invite,
Right. Yep.
which I would say that's a plot hole, because how John Hurt didn't think this would be discovered is kind of weird.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it was too easy to be caught. So that
Yeah.
is probably my only plot hole and my one nitpick for this film.
I would say if I were to give it the mental gymnastics required to justify it, royalty thinks they're way smarter than they are.
Well, yeah, but not the servants. If there was a problem and stuff like that, like, the servants would probably still have to figure
Oh
something
yeah,
out.
well yeah. Why Gordon didn't think he would get caught? That is a good question. Why John Hurt didn't think he would get caught is obvious.
Oh, okay. You were talking Percival Greaves. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. The Finnish king shows up, and then when Ralph absolutely nails the greeting that he botched at the beginning, and then he turns around and gives Cedric that, like, smug look, just.
Who nailed it? I nailed it. Ralph nailed it.
I absolutely loved it. But then, oh my God, those misunderstandings with the king versus the king at the table about fox hunting, and
I know, yeah.
that is
And
that
wait,
is brilliant writing.
Your wife likes fox hunting? Oh yes, absolutely. Like, okay.
Like, Anna's not into it. Oh yes, Anna loves it. Most royals do.
Yep.
And the look on his face. It was great. Then they find out, okay, so the jokes, first it's a perfect sport for gentlemen. Well, if I ever become one, I'll look into that. The king thinks king thinks it's a joke, but Ralph was actually like, I'm not a gentleman and I'm just being honest.
Right.
Loved that. Fox hunting, and then, oh my God, that wine with the Cornish hens.
A miracle of physics. The fact that all of those full glasses of wine fell down like dominoes. Absolutely no momentum.
Did you see a wire?
Lost.
I watched it a couple times. I could not find the wire.
I did not see a wire. I think they might have actually used squibs, because it looked like in each glass of wine, the wine shot upwards just before the glass went to the side.
I think if they would have used squibs, it would have been way bigger of a splash. But I could not find the wire, so I can't answer on how they did that.
I'm betting they probably had some under the wine glasses that pushed them. Is my thinking. I don't think it was wires. I think it was something underneath.
Yeah, that might be the way. I might go back and watch that one again just to kind of check that. But I love that Cedric was like covered. He was like, just a run of extraordinarily bad luck, Your Majesty. It could have happened to anyone. Like, and you find out later why he's being so encouraging and everything like that. Yeah. But at the same time, he was looking at that epic faux pas and also kind of thinking, oh my God, what if that happened to me? And he's like, come on, man. Like, you gotta chill it out a bit.
Well, and that brings, well, when we get to that part of the movie, I'll bring it up.
But this is the ball and the reveal of Anna's voice.
Now, first of all, this is the point in the movie where I started to have issue with Ralph.
Okay. All right.
Because, okay, sure, she's got a bit of a deep voice.
Bit.
So, but here's the thing: is like, so she's down to. We found out she's got a deep voice. Okay, a touch mannish, but you know what? These are things. There's things that can be worked through in a relationship when it comes to stuff like that. And I get he didn't want to be with her. He's still thinking about Jackie Tyler, and I get it. Between the two, I would have picked Jackie Tyler as well. But in this situation, she's very down to earth. He's like, look, we're being forced into this marriage. You don't want to marry me, do you? And she's like, no. I get what you're saying. I get it. It's politics. You don't want to marry me. I don't want to marry you. But we're royalty. We're kind of stuck with this. And here's the thing. This is where things really turned for me when she says, but look, I can deal with this. I can console myself with this. She's like, you're a boorish commoner. I don't know you, but I can console myself with thinking about how fantastic your ass is. and it's like, excuse me? And she's like, yeah, no. And she sits there and describes how she imagines their epic sex life as a consolement to them being in a loveless political marriage. And this upsets Ralph for some reason. Like, this is the part where I'm like, dude, this is where we go, oh, we can be friends. Like, but no, Ralph is like, he comes out of that going like, she's an absolute nightmare.
Oh, no, he does not.
You dare to call yourself an American, Ralph.
way intimidated by that woman. Because she's like, because he is a lovable, goofy, innocent guy who's not, he's not that guy. He is not the guy that is going to bang the queen while the servants watch and applaud, which is what she described. You're really like kind of just glancing right past that and going right. No, she's like, oh, he's like, and then you can take me over the grand piano. Why? And he's like, wouldn't it be kind of awkward if the servants were watching? She's like, I would hope so. It's like, oh my God. This is not the kind of woman that Ralph is into. So I do see that. And then he comes out of it and Cedric gets the lowdown and it's like, oh, she sounds like a man, everything like that, but at least I'll be able to have exhibition sex in front of all the servants as we get older. Like, he goes through the whole thing, and the way that he drops it all down on Cedric and walks away, and then Peter O'Toole's what the fuck face, just the absolutely perfect moment. But then, for me, the thing that kept me going back and watching this movie over and over as a kid, the good golly Miss Molly scene.
Right. Okay.
Oh my God. Like, Doc, go for it, man.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really have any. Yeah, it was a fun scene for sure. Yeah. And I get why, it was a very John Goodman moment. It's definitely not I feel like that's probably one of those things where it's like, that's how they got TV star, probably very expensive star John Goodman to agree to do this role, was because they're like, and there's a part where you can basically perform Good Golly Miss Molly, and he's like, I'm in, because he clearly was having the time of his life with that one.
Oh yes, and in my eyes, that is the scene that made him the star.
Okay, yeah, all right, I could see that.
Like that. Sure. Like, there's always a scene like in earlier films and stuff like that where you see a moment where the actor who is going to become a big star in the future shows their ability to commit 100% of the way to a scene. And I feel like the Good Golly Miss Molly scene was that for John Goodman.
Yeah. Yep.
He held nothing back and he left it all on the floor.
Yep.
But he's playing the piano. He is, in fact, singing. That is his voice, and it is absolutely outstanding. The energy in that, the embarrassment across all the royals across the entire ball.
Right.
And he tries to go dance with Anna. It doesn't work. And then he finds Coduri.
Right. This is his showstopper back in Vegas. Why don't these people appreciate it?
well, that's the thing. Like he says right at the beginning, he's like,
Yeah.
I've never had an audience this big, and I would
Hmm.
like to do my thing. And I'm like, do your thing, Goodman. You do your
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
Ralph. Just I love this character. But then Coduri was there, and Hart's plan worked better than he even could have imagined. Because Goodman runs towards her, dances with her, pisses the princess off, humiliates the
Yep.
king, the Finnish king. The engagement is off. Everything tanked. And then he gets double jumped, and the king lays royal egg headline.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
was like, this is where the movie takes its turn, where Hurt speaks out about the embarrassment of an American coming over and doing this, and Ralph
Right.
is walking around moping, and
Yep.
having him mope with those royal swans was, I liked that. I thought it was a good inclusion. Cedric finds the invite, and then Ralph visits Coduri and finds out about the whole setup. And I'm not gonna
Right.
lie, the anger that Goodman brought into that scene, I remember being a kid and being worried about Coduri. Like I was like, dude, he looks real angry.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't sure what kind of movie I was watching at that point, but that scene, but that's the thing,
But yeah,
Goodman
no,
really
he's
brought it.
yeah.
I mean, I know my look, like my face kind of looked surprised when I said that. It's not a surprise.
No, I mean that, and again, like that. That's one of those things where it's like, you know, we've had some stellar comedy from him all the way up to this point, and now he's bringing the truly emotional drama on top of it. And so it's like, yeah, this movie may not have been a hit, but you can totally see why Goodman went places afterwards.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah,
And I love that line. You were England to me, Miranda.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
because she was the only reason he was really sticking it out for as long as he did. And the only times he ever had second thoughts were when they were telling him that she couldn't be around.
interestingly enough, okay, no, actually, I'm going to change how I set that up. When Gordon gets busted, and then we see that, like, kind of that rough security guard for the king, just kind of that
Right.
smile on his face. Don't worry, it'll come back to you. Dude was getting royal torture.
Yeah, that was
That was a line that
Someone-
they just kind of like very subtle, very little bit,
Yeah.
everything like that. And we never
was-
saw Gordon again.
that was a Mission Impossible line, is what that was. That
I think Gordon died after that.
That's why they had to present his confession letter at Parliament and not Gordon, because Gordon wasn't around.
You
to be
never saw
presented.
Gordon for the rest of the movie. He got busted. They threatened him, and he was gone. Like, then, but also, okay. Ralph calls Duncan out on the whole "we decided on you" from earlier in the story, and we find out that Cedric, played once again by Peter O'Toole, passed up on the throne, and the way that they do this scene,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when Peter O'Toole says like, "I was so determined to make sure that you did the job so well that just in case was not even like just could never
Yeah.
happen, that the event of just in case could never even be a possibility."
Right, yeah.
Oh,
And it didn't even occur to me until you brought it up in the earlier recap. Those things that he's saying about the weight of the crown and how it must be borne by a man and all that sort of stuff. Like, that scene is already weighty. Add to the fact that this is a guy who has also a claim to the throne and turned it down and has now been working his ass off to make sure he doesn't have to be offered it again. Now all of a sudden that scene weighs so much more. And that didn't even hit me until you were describing it a few moments later. Imagine watching this movie a second time. Probably this might be one of those movies where like 100 more things come up on the second or third watch, which is hard to believe considering how dopey the whole fucking movie is.
dopey yet amazingly well written. Addresses. Okay, so now King Ralph, he goes and he addresses Parliament, and Graves is the one who introduces him. And when Ralph addresses Parliament and says that he had that conversation with the King of Zambezi and they brought a bunch of new jobs to England and all that.
Right.
John Hurt's single. That petty ass single clap. Oh, that cracked me up too much. But then he calls out Graves and on the Treason Act of 1702. And then forgetting which William, and then we get that kind of a call. We don't actually call back to it. You just have to remember it.
He kind of mumbles it. Right. We don't hear him say the limerick, but he mumbles it, and you can tell from the meter of the mumble that he's repeating what she told him back in the car.
Yep. I thought that was great. But what I found out is it was after this movie was released, about a decade after. They did change the law of the Treason Act of 1702 to where it's imprisoned for life and no longer death. Because in this movie, that is a death sentence. So Graves was killed at the end of this movie.
So this book has a 2 body count. At least, not including the royal family.
I was just about to say this movie has like a 80-person body count, man.
Oh my God, this movie might have a higher body count than Pulp Fiction.
I mean, we don't know what Tommy did to that bouncer. Long live Cedric the First. But this was, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. This was my actual whack-ass fantasy. That somebody who did not belong in the White House accidentally got there because of a marketing campaign and then would step down and just kind of say to the American people, you need to pay attention more. That would have made the Trumpster my actual hero, my actual real life hero, if he would have done that, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah. Yep.
But I am telling you, if that is how that would have gone down, he would have went back to The Apprentice or went and started a Joe Rogan style podcast or something. He probably would have, it would have taken a while for me to get burnt out on him, but I might have stuck with him for a while because that is kind of my actual fantasy, that somebody will be handed absolute power and then hand it to the right person.
Yeah.
That is a fantasy. He gets an annual salary and a house with a recording studio, and Peter O'Toole's.
He still gets to live the royal life. He's not king anymore. He has no responsibilities.
Oh, he's got a better life at this point.
That's the thing. Is like now he has a big ass house, and a salary and his own recording studio. And he still gets to be a royal. Just now he has like 0 responsibilities except to raise a kid for when Peter O'Toole dies. And boy, does he get busy on that with Jackie Tyler right away.
Pretty quick. And yeah. But Peter O'Toole's little speech about him being a good and decent man.
Yeah, that was a good speech. Yeah.
That really was. Like, I mean, just being himself, being a good man, a decent man, and it should like that. I love this movie. I mean, that scene did get tears from me, and I'm still not entirely certain why. It's just, I don't know. I just don't know what it is about moments like that of just pure integrity and just solid morality. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I just love it.
A little McCain brothers moment there, kind of thing.
Yes, and then you got to get the girl, and he goes in his original clothing, his Green Bay Packers coat, and then he goes, and somehow Miranda's life got better. Like she had a bad job, then she got fired from that job. Now it seems that she's got a nice job in a respectable area and all this stuff. When the hell did that happen?
Well, she went back home, is what it was, wasn't it?
Okay. All right.
From my understanding was the reason why. Yeah, the reason why she was in London in the first place was to try to send money home, but then she lost that job, so now she's back in her hometown. So she's got a better job and all that, but she's not making as much money, and her family's still struggling and all that.
Okay,
so I think is the downside of that.
Okay, fair enough. And then John Goodman getting knighted, and then putting his hands over his ears because he's afraid he's going to get cut. And
Right.
the smile on Peter O'Toole's face, and then there's like the fact that John Goodman went from like he smiles like and then like he looked down and got afraid. He never cut character.
No,
He
yeah.
stayed in character like the whole way through, and I really loved that. And then there are some movies that when the movie ends, I have to keep going until the song stops. This is one of those movies. When it comes to the Duke
Yep.
of War, oh my, I
Yeah.
love this movie.
I mean, well, that song is a seminal classic for a reason. I mean, let's be honest. That they could have put that song at the end of Saw, and we would have stuck around in the
True,
theater
but I
listening
just
to it.
like hearing John Goodman sing. Like that's just all it is. And the fact that was John Goodman singing, that makes me happy.
I mean, I know you said you've been waiting for, the John Goodman album. You may just have to go out and buy the King Ralph soundtrack and be happy with that.
You know what? If it's on Spotify, that's already done.
There you go.
All right. That closing thoughts on King Ralph.
Closing thoughts on King Ralph. Look, it's a lovely movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I don't know if I can call this one a must see for the same reason as, last week with The Wrong Guy. Like, it is a quality comedy. I think people should see it, but in the terms of, like I said, the standards that I've set for myself here on the whole like cultural media literacy thing, it doesn't quite hit the snuff on it. So
I'll give you that. This is one of my absolute favorites, but I am not going to pretend that just because I love it so much that it's better than what it is.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely a fun movie. I think if you have the time for it, you'd enjoy it.
I don't think you'd regret. I don't think anybody would regret watching this one.
Probably not. No.
I don't see any areas where that might happen. I mean, yeah, like if you're now, I will get into that thought, but I will get into that part of the thought.
I'll say this just for like a fun little like fan, like a fan fiction type thing. Mm-hmm. The actress whose name I'm forgetting, she's just Jackie Tyler to me for some reason.
Oh, Coduri.
But Coduri, yeah. The character's essentially the same. You could almost say that this is like a prequel to Doctor Who in this regard, because she's basically playing the same character just 20 years earlier.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. Oh man, I gotta kind of give you that. All right. That is going to bring a close to King Ralph. Part 2 of tonight's episode is Arachnophobia, written by Don Jakoby, Al Williams, and Wesley Strick. Directed by Frank Marshall, starring Jeff Daniels, Julian Sands, John Goodman, and Harley Jane Kozak, with Stuart Pankin, Brian McNamara, Mark L. Taylor, and Henry Jones. I'm sorry, every time Henry Jones opened his mouth in this movie, I was falling to the ground laughing. And I'm wondering, is he like I didn't look into him. I should have. Is he...
Which one was he again?
He's the doctor that Daniels was supposed to replace.
Right, that guy.
That guy was hilarious.
And he's been around a long time. I don't remember.
Well, I don't think he's around
what
anymore.
else I've seen him. Well, no, so he's definitely left us for sure. He was on death's door back in the 90s.
True. Did you catch who played his wife?
I did.
It was
yes,
Frances frickin' Bay. I cannot believe how many crossovers we're getting with these episodes week to week.
But first off, we should probably with this movie. This might be the first movie that for all of the weird shit that we have brought on. This movie needs a trigger warning for our audience.
It does not.
If you suffer from any fear of spiders at all, if you have arachnophobia, or if you just have a spider problem, this is not the movie for you. This movie is the opposite of therapeutic.
Obviously, that's why it doesn't need a trigger warning. The trigger warning is the title. Like, you don't like what the fuck. So I gotta hard disagree with you there.
I'm saying my piece. My service to the people.
I still think our number one trigger warning movie for this channel has gotta be Freeway.
Probably. You're probably right.
It's gotta be.
It's got all the hard shit in it.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and it blows through a lot of it pretty quick without warning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't see that coming at all, and it hits you pretty hard. The kind of a tragic. I'm not gonna call this a fun fact. This is a tragic fact. Julian Sands, who played the Spider Doctor in this movie,
Right.
was found dead last year in Central America. He
I did not know he was dead. I had not heard that.
He passed. He was on a hike in Central America, and he was found 5 months after he'd gone missing. They do not know the cause of death.
Damn.
Not exactly a fun fact, but when you're considering who he was and what he played in this movie, there's a little there's some very morbid fun factness to that I'm going to let somebody else decide how they feel about that. I thought it was interesting.
Right. Yeah. No, good call. Good call on that one. Yeah.
Being real here. Well, we opened this movie on an expedition to an untouched region, and for anybody who is thinking about becoming a world traveler, there's a pretty solid rule of the world. If the locals stop walking, you stop walking.
Not white people, man. Not white people.
Okay, as true as that is, I don't have an argument. That photographer falls into the web. Nope. This movie has so many nope moments. Just
yeah. Well, and this photographer Manley, like out of the gate, we're seeing this dude is in way over his head. Like he's been sent by a magazine to go shoot this expedition. We find out right away that this is not what he usually does. He's a sports photographer. He's not a travel photographer or a science photographer. This is probably, they don't say for sure, but it feels like this is his first time outside of the United States, and he's been dropped into the South American Amazon. Like, holy shit, he is way out of his league right out of the gate.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to say, like, he definitely felt fish out of water in compared to everybody else there.
There are multiple times where he is reminded to take pictures because he's just sitting there going,
good point, yeah. I mean, come on. If you were, I have been a professional photographer. I did that for years. Mm-hmm. If you put me in that setting, that's me. All I'm doing is looking up, looking around, wondering where the spiders are coming at, covering my mouth and like protecting all the holes that I have. No, that is not that. Like, see, I'm not gonna say that I'm truly arachnophobic because also. The only warning that I'm going to give for arachnophobia is a lot of people watch this during the Halloween season, and that is the worst time of year to watch this movie because that is quite literally spider season. I was outside walking today, took a break, stopped, looking around. Look at the pretty leaves. Looked down at my foot, and there's a spider cruising across, like not across my foot, but just like right next to it and cruising by me. And I stood there, and I had to think. I'm like, when's the last time that happened? It hasn't even been 12 hours since I've watched Arachnophobia. When is the last time that I had that happen?
You manifested the spiders, my brother.
My wife and her friend, our friend, saw an albino black widow right outside our door. And I'm like, I asked for this. I summoned this is what happened here. And I'm not okay with it.
That's the first solid evidence that we live in a situation, that we live in a simulation I've ever heard.
I don't like it. Albino Black Widow. I don't like that. That's that's wrong.
Within hours after watching the movie Arachnophobia. Yeah, no.
Oh, then
God is real and he hates us.
Well, yeah. Okay. So the thing about this movie, and when you we anthropomorphize animals all the time. We assign our own feelings to them and thoughts.
Sure.
This movie anthropomorphized that spider and 100% because it sat out like away from that tree, watched the spider doc kill all those spiders and bugs, and it vowed vengeance.
The first act of this movie is a story of revenge by spider. That is what this is, which ends on a love story. That's what's amazing about it.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. It's just, oh my god. That jump at the camera and just, I'm sorry, a spider that hisses? No.
While leaping, while
Having, making a sound like a rattlesnake's rattle? No.
yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
okay,
No.
this movie, yes, there is another movie out there called Nope. It should have been this one. Oh.
When they were writing this, they literally went like, all right, what kind of shit are people scared of? Spiders, got that. Rattlesnake noises, got it. Bugs that hiss.
But I mean, that was a great thing about the 90s. Like, you know what, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Jurassic Park, they mixed a few different animals together, but one of the most notable animals that they used is the elephant's, I don't want to say roar. What would you call that?
Trumpet.
There you go. The elephant's trumpet.
Yeah.
Like that is like the key sound in the T-Rex in Jurassic Park that really eats at people, because the one that always gets me, and I guess I am speaking for myself, it's the high-pitched one when they roar. It's that high-pitched aspect that rings in. When I found out the animals that they mixed together, and it was a few, and the only one that I do remember distinctly was the elephant was the sound, one of the sounds for the T-Rex. But that was the perfect decision.
Sure, yeah.
Have you heard the like what they actually think T-Rexes sound like?
No, I have not.
It is like a deep, like kind of guttural, almost click.
Okay.
And
yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense. And when you think about that in like a jungle setting, whoa, that is way more terrifying. And if they ever, I mean, they're never going to change what a T-Rex sounds like in cinema.
No.
Because it's too iconic. But if they ever actually did an accurate one, like a horror movie with dinosaurs, that's the way they should go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just goes to show, like, you know, even today when they're making dinosaur movies, they still put the Brontosaurus in there. We've known since the 80s that the Brontosaurus wasn't a thing, that was a mistake.
I know. But that is Hollywood.
Yeah.
What's your favorite dinosaur, by the way?
My favorite dinosaur? I don't know if I've ever had one, actually. I've always just been kind of one of those.
Shit. There's no way as a kid you didn't have a favorite dinosaur.
Not that I can recall. If I did, it was long enough ago. I don't remember. I mean, I was into I was one of those, like, into the kind of the whole thing whenever a new documentary about dinosaurs came out. Yes, I watched them all, but
I thought dinosaurs were just cool in general, but a Brachiosaurus and a Stegosaurus were the two that like really stuck out in my mind.
It's very solid,
and you can blame the land before time.
Oh, for sure, yeah. For me, the big one was PBS came out with a special that they just called Dinosaurs, and the narrator for it was this guy named Gary Owens, who also happened to be the announcer for a lot of like kids TV shows. And it was so popular that they made like 10 sequels, and they just kept coming out like every month.
Wasn't that dinosaur ripoff of Roseanne just called Dinosaurs?
I think it was too, yeah.
That I can't. So I can't remember a thing about that show, but I can tell you that my family watched the hell out of that.
It was uniquely funny in its own way. Yes.
I
get why it didn't last, because it was probably one of the most expensive shows to produce on TV.
Oh, I could see that. That actually kind of raises the question of all the streaming services and everything like that. I have never seen dinosaurs ever pop up as a suggestion, and that is one that probably would take the country by storm again.
Probably, yeah. That's a good question. I wonder who owns that.
I'm gonna look into that after the show, because I think that's what I'm gonna do this week is just watch dinosaurs.
Because I'm pretty sure Jim Henson, the Jim Henson Company produced it, which would mean that would be owned by Disney by now. But it was on Fox. So
Disney's been reacquiring everything from Fox. I mean, God, they got Deadpool now.
That's true, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's still in rights dispute or something like that. Maybe that's what's keeping it out.
But back to this one. I'm gonna look into that. But yeah, back to this. With the aspect of spider soldiers, and like
Right.
drones and
Yes.
everything like that.
Right. Like a hive of spiders. Yes.
I looked into that. That is not a thing. Thank God.
Right.
Thank God that is not a thing.
They
I
made
just
very
needed to
very clear.
know.
Right. They made very clear that this is a very special monster spider. Yes.
Yes. Kept in captivity, or not captivity, but in seclusion for isolation for millions of years.
Yes.
This one specific canyon, which I don't.
Not just a canyon, a sinkhole. Just like straight up sinkhole, a big giant hole in the ground that's been there for so long it's got its own ecosystem now.
I can't find a pen. I'm gonna text you something so you can help me remember to bring it up at the after hour.
Okay.
Okay. The attack in the cot and that quick-ish death, and then that spider goes in with him in the coffin. I mean,
no, we're still on the revenge kick here because that spider watched Manly squash the spider, stomping under his foot, and we see the cut. We see Manly stomping on the spider that attacked him, and it cuts to the spider's eyes in the tree watching him do it. And from that moment on, that spider's like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your whole family. I'm going to go to your hometown and kill everyone you know. And that's exactly what he did. Because no one else at that camp died. The spider goes straight for the camp, kills Manly, crawls into his coffin, goes home with him. This spider had a plan.
it really did, and I was not okay with it. Just, oh my God, I was not okay with it. Really quick, though, I wanted to bring this up. The animatronic General Spider that we are talking about was one of the first props that was ever done by Jamie Hyneman, one of the stars of Mythbusters.
Mythbuster, yeah, that is dope. Nice. That's very
one
cool.
of his very first props. And whoa, he did a good job. That thing creeped me out all the way. That's what I wanted to look up. So, welcome to Kainama and the Kendall Funeral Home. Doc, why don't you go into that one real quick?
Well, first of all, we get our introduction to probably one of the most tired tropes in movie history, the mortician that keeps bringing food into the morgue. But this guy walks in with a sandwich in hand right out of the gates, and they're prying open the coffin. Manly, the hometown photographer made goods, been sent back from South America. They open the coffin to find out that he has been completely, utterly exsanguinated. He is a dried up husk because he's been riding with a spider that's been munching on him for the last who knows how many
constantly
thousands of miles.
Attacking him as they have been doing this. Yes, that one got to me. But speaking of,
they write it off. They don't even blink. They write it off as a cultural difference. They think the South Americans did it to him as a preservation method before sending him home.
I got it right here, but okay, something that I did want to bring up real quick. So the name of the town that Arachnophobia takes place in is called Kainama, which in the real world, Kainama is the name of the avenging spirit of the Guyana Indians, and it's also the name of the area in Venezuela where the beginning of the movie was filmed and home to the world's tallest waterfall, Angel Falls.
Huh. Sweet.
So I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool that they roped all of those things in there. But yes, the avenging spirit being that spider, yep. I believe it.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep.
Oh my God, that was an absolutely terrifying. Like, just there was no part about that was not absolutely horrifying to me, and there's no argument pro that.
We are 100% anti-vengeance spider on this stream. I just want to make that clear. No one here is pro spider vengeance.
Correct. Prying open the coffin, and then you get that moment with the spider, and you're just like, oh God, not the kitty, because you always get worried about the animals in these things. Yep. Like, you really do, because you don't know which direction the movie's gonna take that.
Especially in the 80s and 90s. In the 80s and 90s, they often killed off pets to raise suspense.
Correct. I mean, Pet Cemetery, plain and simple. Which,
Yeah.
Kelly,
All the
our
Benji
little trip
movies.
up to North Dakota, Kelly and I drove into a pet cemetery, and we just could not stop laughing. And then, like a couple minutes later, I was like, "Oh, we just laughed our way through a whole bunch of sadness right there." Ow.
I remember when I was in junior high making an argument in my speech class. I literally did a speech in my speech class about how Disney hates dogs. And I did it by listing off all of the Disney movies that had come out in the last few years which feature a dead dog in them.
You were a fun child. Well, then our spider's taken off, and Crow gives it a lift to our very first look at Daniels and Kozak. And the spider takes the bird just immediately out, and how quick that drop was nothing but comical.
Mhm,
Like, this movie
yeah.
had a couple good laughs, and I appreciated that. And let's find your mom and kill that spider. Like, I like that. Let's kill the spider. Let's find your mom and kill that spider.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Daniels was the right choice for that.
The family knows. The family knows that dad hates spiders. No one's surprised by this at all. You know, he's like, "Honey, you need to kill a spider," and they're like, "Oh, we're at this again." Yeah.
Well, and this was our this is I think what you were referring to as the love story.
Right, because here's the thing. One of the things they point out is that this spider that they find in the house has hitched a ride with them since San Francisco. They opened up their moving box and there's a spider in there. So this spider got in the moving box in San Francisco and hitched a ride with them to the small town, the same way that the general spider from South Africa hitched a ride in Manly's coffin. So here we are. We got these two crazy spider kids who are in a weird town that neither of them wanted to be in. One of them's, just a regular working class spider from San Francisco. The other one's a South African warlord. And these crazy kids get together and make a family. That's the romance of this movie.
South American, but yes. That
What did I say?
South African.
Oh, my bad. Okay, yes. I meant South American warlord. Yes.
I actually, now that you mention it, I don't know what kind of spiders are in Africa. I know Australian, I know European, and I know South American. I don't know what's in Africa.
I was going to say, isn't that where tarantulas come from? But no, those are South American.
Those are South and
Yeah.
Central America, actually, and North America. You get them all
Right.
over in Texas and Tennessee.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I'm not aware of, I
Oklahoma.
don't know of any African spiders either.
That's kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
Like a weird gap in knowledge I wouldn't have thought about. And
Well, I'm certainly not looking any up because I don't think it's any of it's good news.
no, probably. Well, I mean, the good news is I'm not there, so
Right.
that is the good news on that one. The little so Daniels and Kozak have their love scene, and then our Californian spider and our South American spider have their love scene.
Right. Spider love scene. It's in the moonlight.
It is. It is
the
a
barn.
moonlit spider love
with
scene.
The little legs are just gently resting down, like literally like.
Oh, for God's sake, man! Come on. A slight filter is okay.
We've got the explicit tag on the stream, right?
Yes. Yes. God damn it. The doctor changed. Oh, this. Can you imagine being in a situation like this? The doctor changes his mind on retiring.
Right.
And
He's
he
the
lures the
whole
doctor
reason.
here. He's like, I'm going to give you all of my clients. And then just
Right.
changes his mind on retiring. So now this guy moved to a town and he's stuck there for what? To die?
Here's the thing. First of all, there's got to be grounds for a lawsuit there for starters. Second of all, I don't think anybody would have blinked twice if he just killed the man right there. Like, like he literally uprooted his entire life, moved halfway across the country, bought a house, set up all on the promise that this guy was gonna retire so that he could take over his practice, and he waits until he arrives. The moving vans have already unpacked, and that's when he changes his mind.
Oh, yeah, I don't care
What?
how old he was. I would have strangled him right there. Oh, my
Yeah.
God. Moving the whole family, everything. Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
That's the thing. In this, like, is this a horror movie? This is a horror movie.
I mean, it says horror movie on the like streaming platform. If you look at its genres, it's like thriller, horror, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it depends.
But the scariest part of this movie is actually that being put in that situation.
I know, right?
Which is kind of random.
That's the thing, is this movie didn't even need the spiders. You could have just had the whole movie about these two doctors. That would have been a good movie too.
That would have been a good movie. Like but that's the mark of a good horror movie, or really a good movie, is if the sub stories and the subplots and everything like that do match and they carry their own.
That
themes.
is true. Yes.
I think it's a big mistake when writers or filmmakers, they're like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna save that for later." It's like, are you sure?
No, yeah.
I mean, if it's a good idea, maybe use it on the project so you make the project good. Right.
Yeah.
I've seen that mistake happen a few times in our work and stuff like that. Well, I guess not in our work, but while we've been working together, I've seen some of the stuff. And when you hold off on using good ideas, you don't necessarily know that you're going to get an opportunity to use that. Sometimes lay it out on the table.
Yeah, that is a very good point. In fact, that I think that's something Kevin Smith has said before too. Like, he said part of the reason he had so much random shit in like Clerks and Mallrats is because he literally was thinking, I may never get a chance to do this again, so I might as well do it now.
Oh, okay, I can see that. I mean, and that is a good point, especially when you're doing your first film.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much. I think everything in Clerks actually worked.
Oh yeah.
Good news and bad news, and she immediately steps up and she's like, all I got to do is get a phone and a fax machine and I can get back to work. And I'm like, that's a good partner. Something happens, you come to it. It doesn't need to be a fight or a freak out. Just, what do we do? Let's do it. That is a good partner.
I do appreciate any movie, and we talked a little bit about it in King Ralph as well. I do appreciate a movie where they don't take the cheap thrill of making the relationship part of the drama.
Yes.
It's
not necessary.
Right.
If your main story is good enough, that crap's not necessary.
Exactly, yes.
And he gets that, and just moving to a new town as a doctor, and you get one patient, just hoping that she'll be ravaged by a disease, and she can be 7 patients in one. Nope.
Right.
You found the only healthy 80-year-old on the planet.
60. She's only 60.
Okay, 60, whatever. Plenty of healthy 60-year-olds doesn't. Now my joke doesn't work.
Well, I mean, it's not entirely a whatever, because that comes in later in the movie, because she does pass away and he has this whole thing where he's like, she was only 60 years old. That's what the fuck happened,
Right. So and the whole thing, like, he took her off the medication and he's got like this big kick that he has to kind of prove that he wasn't responsible for her death. Like you were saying, there was a good subplot in this movie, and it got you to care about the characters in a good way. So
that's the thing, is like, in not counting Manley's death, we were almost halfway through the movie before anybody else died. It was all just developing these characters, this town, these relationships, these personalities. They made the work to get us to give a shit about these people. So when they started dying off, we felt it,
Yeah.
It mattered. Like, we felt the scare, the horror, the sorrow. Like, we were right there with when someone died and they're all like, oh God, this is terrible. We're like, oh yeah, this is terrible. As opposed to,
they started the movie and they gave us that anticipation. They gave us the setting. They gave us everything that we needed to know. Then they got us to start caring, and that was a good way to actually go about that. That is actually a pretty solid horror movie trope. They do that pretty often. Friday the 13th films, a lot of times you open on a death, then you get the kids heading to camp. Like,
okay,
so I can see it, but this movie really did a good job with that.
Yep, and they kept the pacing really well, because the whole time while we're watching this, character drama unfold in this town, just every once in a while we're cutting back to what the spiders are up to.
Yes.
We're still getting the foreshadowing of what's happening with
months
with
are
the
passing
breeding and the new nest being formed. Right, exactly. So it's like we're not forgetting that there's a threat of spiders. We're still
They
seeing
did
the
a
tension of
good
it.
job because
But
when his first patient, that neighbor lady, that healthy 60-year-old, she says, in a
mhm,
month, I will throw you a party. Very next scene is that party. So we find out that a month has passed. And so the time that the spider love making has happened and the like
mhm,
baby spider making is all underway and all this stuff.
right.
No, the movie did a good job of actually explaining to us how quickly time was passing, and it
Yep.
was not clunky at all. I thought that was a good job.
No, it was remarkably well paced the whole way through, for sure.
And then Kozak photos the webs in the barn. Another nope moment. That is too much. Like, yes, you
Right.
go into a
Yeah,
barn, you're
that
gonna
was
see webs. That is
is-
too much.
yeah. It's like I get it. Like she's impressed. She's like, "Oh yeah, the spider made a home." That is not a spider made a home.
No,
The
that's a
number of
spider made
webs.
Manhattan.
Right, exactly. Like that is call National Geographic and the police at the same time. Number of webs in your barn, lady. Come on.
Oh my god. Okay, this was like moments like this where like the background, like creating the scene and all these types of moments, I think are really important for films. Talking about the neighbor that's going to throw the party as the daughter is incessantly trying to clean the table. Let me take your plate. Let me take your fork. Let me take it. He's like, no,
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not done. I'm not done. I'm not done. And he's like
Right,
just
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to be like really polite with her because she's trying to help. Little world building moments like that are pivotal when it comes to uh, drawing the audience into the story.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
I
Yes.
love that. And then they ask if they can go play. And I love how the parents think the kids are
Bunny.
innocents. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I bet they're going to go chase some fireflies. You want to blow up a bullfrog?
Yep.
I love that. I
I've
love that
we've
so
got
much.
my family. I've told you before. My family is from Idaho,
Hmm?
and so I've got a cousin bunny in my family, and yeah, a riot to have around.
Oh, I know it. I know it.
Yep.
The come and look at the web, like it'll be like exposure therapy. And
When has I want to know who's the dickhole who came up with exposure therapy because I have never heard of it working once.
I don't know. I think it works. I used to be
Okay,
absolutely terrified of spiders, and a buddy recommended that I research close-ups of spiders, and then like really look at like because he's like when you look at them, it's like they're kind of cute, like they have personality, like it looks like they have personality and all that, and I'm like, what? And then I
that's a
did,
bold statement.
and I started really looking at close-ups of spiders and all this, and I'm like, the cool factor is starting to win a little bit. And that's
Hmm.
the thing. Like now, I mean, I'm much more of a gardener now. I'm a plant guy now. And when I see spiders in my plants, I don't freak out and run across or toss the plant out. Most of the time, I just like it crawls onto my hand and it goes. However, when it's one of these guys and it just winds up on me, no, I'm
Right.
still I'm gonna scream like a little bitch guy because
Sure. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna like the surprise still gets me. If I see it and I'm aware of it, we're cool. We're good. I'm
Right.
all
Yeah.
right with it. If I feel it coming across my neck and all this
Oh,
stuff,
don't. Okay. Look. All right. Okay. I'm right there with you. I get it, but we don't need to go into it. All right.
okay, moving on then. Moving on. Uh, what a time for that ladder to break. Staring into your worst fear, then it breaks and you fall down, and a
Yeah.
dead rat falls on. Oh, I
Which,
get his
by the way,
freak out.
again, when there is a straight up full on killed and eaten by spiders, web covered rat, a big ass rat has been taken down by the spider. Call the police.
No, man, that moment you're calling Ghostbusters. Like
No,
something else is kicking up on that one. No,
that's true.
uh,
Yeah, yeah. Spiders may be the least of your problems. Yeah.
the but when we get to that party and just my utter delight in seeing Frances Bay as Mrs. Metcalf, and
Yep.
like he's walking by, he's like, when I got to town, when I got here, the whole town threw me a party. And then she does that wife thing like, no, dumbass, when you got to town, you threw yourself a party.
Right. Yeah.
Man, I love that.
Someone's checking this guy. Yeah.
I love seeing relationships like that when they pop into these films. Like I said, this movie did a great job. It was the horror film, yes, but the world building that they did behind it is what made it really wonderful. Doc, hey, Doc, this is what I was talking about with we should take one of your old books, one of the old stories that you have worked on, and we should just horror the shit out of it. This is a story that did not need the spiders and all that. We could take an element, introduce it into one of your old stories, and try to pull something like this together. This is basically what I was talking about.
Okay.
Kind of a wild side tangent, but yeah. When you get the pretty character and you have to really display how dumb they are. So,
oh right, yes.
What are you gonna major in college? Gym?
We meet the coach's family. Yes.
Yes. And then like you just kind of get that, oh, nepotism.
Right.
No, we're Baptists.
Right.
Oh my dude, some of the lines on this movie, like it was too good.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Just absolutely. Oh God, I hated this. Okay, so kind of a fun fact about this. They did joke around about like the production of this film that the spiders had to have their own passports and all this, and they were very delicately handled. They were being honest. So about every 2 weeks, they had a fresh batch of 300 spiders that were shipped over from Australia to production.
Okay.
So much of this movie was live spiders. I think that's pretty obvious.
That's for sure. Yes. Which I guess to a degree, like that is interesting because especially the things they had to have these spiders do, being able to wrangle spiders like that is pretty impressive. Like
I have a lot of questions. I don't think I'm quite ready to watch the documentary. I need a little bit of time in between my spider fascinations.
Right. Yeah.
This was a pretty big one. Like my wife was running all over the living room trying to like escape the TV. Like she was on the couch, she was on a beanbag, she was standing up in the kitchen watching the TV from over there. Like, no, this movie is effective in getting reactions. Can't really. I mean, just damn. The scene with our 60-year-old party throwing neighbor versus the spider in the lamp cruising around her home, like the anticipation, like the anxiety that this movie gives you. Ooh, it's good.
And the crazy thing is that with all of that buildup, when it does go in for the kill, it is so fucking fast. Like you barely have time to register it.
Yes, it was. Yeah. See, like this is the thing. The next time I see a spider just up on my wall and is looking at me, and I go to approach it to handle it, flashes of this movie are gonna come back into my mind, and I'm gonna remember that spider just like, and I'm gonna be terrified that it's gonna leap at my face. That is an irrational fear. Spiders do not do that. My whole life, I have been afraid of that happening. I have lived in the country. I have lived in the city. I have been around spiders. It has never happened. I'm not telling you this. I'm still telling myself this.
Right.
The bad wood in the cellar, which, like just nails going through the floor and mentioning the termites.
Right, he's trying to set up the shelves for his wine cellar in the basement, and the nail gun is sending the nails straight through the wood and into the floor above, nearly spiking his wife. And
that's also a fear that I have every time I have a nail gun and I'm working on construction. I'm like, this wall is actually as thick as I think it is, right?
Yeah, which I tell you, and I have never seen this anywhere else. I have not seen it in any other movie. I have not seen it in real life. But I do have to ask, since you're someone who's worked construction, is there such a thing as a nail gun that you cock like a shotgun?
Not that I've seen.
Where do I get it? Because that's awesome.
Not that I've seen. I have seen a nail gun like that, but dude. Oh no. So what I was gonna say is, as far as tools like that go, what I have experienced is I've never seen one that you can't just like, you have to hold it up against something.
Right.
Otherwise, like, there's a sensor in there, like that, like the safety on that.
It's like a safety
However,
catch, yeah.
this movie was made before I ever did construction, so I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. But
yeah,
I will admit that is
100%.
kind of a bit of a cool thing.
Right.
Daniels gets blamed for Margaret's death, and this is what you were talking about, where he's saying like 68 is just too young to die, and I'm like, I don't know. It's not old, but I mean, that's still a life lived.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just a perspective type thing.
Yeah. And I think, especially by the 90s. Yeah. I think, well, he did say it was something like 10 years less than the average life expectancy for someone in her health, which I think it sounds correct. Yeah. It's like,
well,
she was
life expectancy has gone down. Like, it was climbing, but it has gone down.
Yep.
So I don't know if the 90s or early 2000s, I don't know when it actually maxed out in America, but it's not as high as it used to be. And this is the moment where Goodman shows up and immediately starts chewing the scenery to bits. There is that.
Oh my God.
There is that line. He's like, would anybody have a problem if I ripped the floor down and start out? She's like, I do. False alarm. Moving forward.
Yeah.
The fact that he said false alarm to that.
Yeah. Delbert is. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know how much of his character was written that way and how much of it was just Goodman going, hey, if I'm here, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But he is the character that a movie that's already been made, like, he didn't need to be there and this movie would still be good.
True.
But at the same time, he makes the movie. Like, he's a character that just steps on the scene halfway through the movie. Literally halfway through the movie, we're being introduced to him, and he just blows up on the scene. He steps out of his truck, picks up his tools, stands at attention, just like, Dilbert's here, and walks in and like literally does the now the movie can begin scene.
It is. I mean, like what I said when we started the episode was, welcome to the John Goodman episode, because
yes,
it is. But so what they were doing with John Goodman's character at this point in the movie, it does change later on. But at this point in the movie, we're establishing that the house is full of termites, but there are no sight of them because they've all been getting eaten by all the spiders. So this is kind of like our little first hints on that one.
Okay. Oh, see, I never caught that. This is like the 8th time I've seen this movie, and this whole time I really thought it was just bad wood and just a coincidence. I'm not kidding. This is the first time I've caught the whole, we're finding out that all the termites have been eaten. Jesus Christ. Like,
it's a pretty full movie though.
Yeah.
Like, I got to give you that. But yeah, the termites are all gone. Nobody in town has like heard a cricket in weeks. Like,
right. I do remember that part. Yes.
Yeah. There's not like all of that. The turn and cough scene when he shows up at the high school, I was sitting there just kind of screaming. Like, as soon as that started happening, I was like yelling at the screen. I'm like, dude, change your gloves. And then Kelly kind of like corrected me. She's like, I didn't see him put gloves on. And I'm like, oh, I hated that scene. I hate that scene so much now. Like, but this was and I'm like, when I was playing football in high school, I had this fear, and I was so happy that fun fact of North Dakota, there is practically nothing poisonous there.
Nice.
When I was growing up, now there's more rattlesnakes and stuff like that, but when I was growing up, it was a fact that there was nothing up there that could kill you. Moose, bears, wolves, sure, but all big things.
Right. Okay.
None of the snakes or spiders. Like, you didn't really have to be worried about that. You could go crawl into a cave. You could dive under a picnic table. You had no worry like that. That was a great
Sure. Yeah.
childhood. That is really, really cool. Um, but after seeing this movie, I still had that fear that there was going to be a spider that. Oh,
Were you just remembering something?
yes. I was riding my motorcycle out in the country, and the chances of this happening, it doesn't make sense. This does not make sense. This belonged in Arachnophobia. Like, I was like going to a stop sign, and as I was going to a stop sign on my motorcycle, the spider was crawling across the road, and I thought I ran it over. But apparently it was that perfect timing and I was going slow enough that it picked up from the wheel and launched it in my helmet. And it just bit me along the side of my face like 6 times. That was why that fear for football came like all the way back in, because
how long ago was this?
Oh, no, like this was 20 years ago.
Okay.
I'm getting there, man. I'm getting up there. No, that oh my God. I like, because like I said, in this movie, like in the spider movies and stuff like that, you see the spider going towards the camera, but
Right.
it's not that far off, because watching that spider going through the air and landing, because I was freaking out because I thought it like hit my chest, so I just started like pounding my chest like I was King Kong. Then like I felt it crawl up my helmet, and I just like jumped. My motorcycle fell down, like kind of fell on my leg a bit, and I'm just sitting there like kind of like grabbing my helmet, and I'm like squeezing my helmet around my head, just hoping that I crushed it. It was a rough day, man.
Yeah. No, that does not sound fun at all. No.
Oh, okay. Moving forward, because now I'm like sweating because I'm like thinking of that.
I told you this movie is not for people who have a spider fear.
Where I agree with you, I mean, because everybody has spider stories, so I should have taken that into consideration when we were talking about this one. Like, this was gonna kick up.
Yeah.
Oh man. Daniels gets the nickname Dr. Death, and it looks like his rival is about to go down.
Which there was an interesting debate going on there. The big city doctor versus the small town doctor over whether or not to have an autopsy to determine the cause of death. And that's one of those things that I've always, and maybe it's just me, but I've always found that to be a really weird debate amongst, and it's still going on today. It is very much a strongly held belief amongst a lot of people that that autopsying a body is a form of brutality.
No. Exhuming the body was the problem that they had with it, because he wanted to exhume the bodies, then perform the autopsies.
Well,
but what the doctor was saying is that if he ran an autopsy on everybody in town, it was like he'd run out of money or something like that.
Well, no, he'd be run out of town, is what he was saying.
Oh, is that what he said? Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't even. But the exhuming was later on. He as soon as the first lady died, he wanted an autopsy, and the doctor was saying,
"Damn it, you're right.
Allowing that."
Okay.
Yeah. So he wanted an autopsy as soon as before they were even buried, and the town doctor was refusing to let it happen because it was considered disrespectful to the bodies in his mind,
Okay.
And that's kind of one of those things that even as a kid, when I was seeing this, I really was like, like they're fucking dead. What do they care? Like, like, why is everyone so concerned about
different religions,
like
everything like that? Like, I do understand that. Like, 'cause I thought you were gonna like have issue with like exhuming the corpses and things like that. And for me, it's like once it's been laid to rest, I do understand. Like, I'm a little more understanding about the problem.
I get.
Yeah.
Yes. Exhuming a body to do the autopsy. Yes. I see how that's a problem, because everyone said their goodbyes. You've had a funeral. It's been laid to rest. This is opening old wounds for all of the survivors. Yes. I get how that's a big deal. But yeah, it was the general wanting to do like, for me as a kid, I was like, I don't understand why an autopsy isn't automatic for every death. Like, that was.
Some things are kind of obvious.
Yeah, I mean that one. Yeah, as I got older, I was like, oh right, because it's a pain in the ass. Got it right.
Well, okay, there is that. There is that.
Yeah,
But what I did like about this scene is as soon as he got bit, he's like, "Oh, that felt like a damn cougar," and then he
right.
started like having heart palpitations and all this.
Which he called a
And
seizure, which is
yes,
weird because he could still talk.
well, I mean, he
Yeah,
was starting to seize, and
right.
then he said, "Call not Daniels, Jennings,
Called
thank
Dr.
you."
Jennings. Yeah,
Too big of a star, man. I have trouble with the names.
right.
But he tells him to call it, and I really like that because that really showed the characters like that it's
Yeah.
time to be on Jennings' side. Um, okay, we already covered that. Man, okay, I need to look back and check his name really, really quick. Okay, Mark L. Taylor. God, that guy plays incredible, just buttheads and everything. He is the guy you love
Sheriff?
to hate. The sheriff. Yeah, I didn't even. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't even need to
Yeah.
bring it up. But
He really does. Yes, he was America's America's dumbass for a solid couple decades. If you had a dumb asshole that needed to be played, he was the guy you called, and he always nailed it.
he was
Yes, for sure.
great. He perfected that. One thing like when Daniels was warning his daughter and her friend and all this, like, hey, like, be careful. If you see a spider, run. And how much they were mocking him and laughing at him and everything. It's like, dude, thank you for making that as truly relatable as it really would have been. Like, that was the right call to go that instead of, like, I feel like a lot of movies now, or a lot of directors, a lot of writers, they would go towards, be careful of the spiders, and then like you'd have like the creepy little girl would be the one who is saying beware the spiders, and then the adults would be like, but why?
Right.
This was the right way to go.
You know, kids and their obsessions with ghosts and aliens and death and all.
Sure. I mean, that is a thing though. Like I'm not like one of the, like, I'm not gonna say which one, but one of the small children in my family, she oops.
She knows you're talking about her.
One of the small children in my family, I was I got up in the middle of the night and I realized that she was sitting there just kind of hanging out in the living room. I'm like, "Oh, what's she up to?" And she's like, "I'm just thinking about my dead ancestors." And I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, sweetie. I love you to the end of the worlds and beyond, but I just walked into a horror movie. What the fuck is going on right now?" And she's like,
the TV's on static and she's got her hands on it. It's just a regular night in the kid's life, you know?
They're here. No, like I had that when I was like, okay, what? And she's like, "Oh, we were just talking at church about these things." And I'm like, "Oh, thank God."
Right.
I was like, what? Why are you just up in the middle of the night thinking about dead people? Oh, and the worst part was she was that perfect little age of like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old girl that horror movies love to use. And she's sitting there in the middle of the night talking about our dead ancestors. And I'm like, are they talking to you?
Are they in the room? Are the dead ancestors in the room with us right now? It's very important you answer that question truthfully.
Yeah, kind of one of those moments, Doing the paperwork. Oh God, watching that spider drag the egg sack into the cellar.
Yep.
Calling the spider doc and played by Julian Sands. Rest in peace,
Julian Sands. Pre-Warlock, I might add. Like this was like the first thing I saw him in, and it was and then like it was a couple of years later when Warlock came out, and suddenly he's Julian Sands, and he became that guy,
Well, that was the thing. Like I haven't actually seen Warlock, so may have to check it out.
The first one wasn't bad.
Okay. As far as Julian Sands goes, it wasn't his face that was the unbelievable recognizable thing. It was his voice. Yes, his face is very recognizable, but his voice is like Christopher Lambert or like, I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
it's
He's
just,
got a very specific
yes.
accent and meter of speaking that combined makes him very recognizable when he talks. Yeah. And I think that was how like I recognized him when he did his guest run on Stargate, like because he was all decked out in makeup, and it wasn't until he started talking that I was just like, oh fuck, that's Julian Sands.
This is the mention of Kanaima, and it gets the doctor's interest, and he sends his assistant, finds the 3 bites, like, hey, I think there might actually be something here.
Right.
The doc says, find a specimen, and
Find me a live specimen.
Yeah,
which is like a callback, because when we first meet him in South America, he's all about the live specimen. Got to get me a live specimen. Got to get me a live.
No, like
so,
two to preserve, two alive.
Right. Yeah. And so when he tells his assistant, try to get me a live specimen, it's almost like a callback to a joke that actually is a precursor to a horror story of what we're about to see.
But what might be the most clever moment in this entire movie is when Jeff Daniels is laying in bed and he sees the spider on the wall, and he gets up, terrified, freaked out. He goes up, and it's nothing but a hook.
Yep, it's a coat hook on the wall that
Who
has a
hasn't
shadow.
been there?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
been there. Oh,
bringing that into a movie that has like 1,000 spiders and all this stuff, but like bringing in a fake out like that was.
Yep,
oh,
a fake
man.
out that literally everyone in the world has experienced at least once. Yes,
exactly, 100%. Let's see. Searching the house for the spider and then finds a dead one in the cereal. No. That is why I
Another
got. Yeah, that is a huge nope, and that is the exact reason that all of my cereal goes in those containers.
Right, yes, exactly. Same. For me, it's just bugs in general, not just spiders, but yes, like out of the box, into the sealed
damn
container.
It, Doc, will you stop reminding me of the shit I had in my life? Pouring out.
You the one who brought up
I know, but pouring out cereal, and then like box elder bugs, like 5 of them was in my Cheerios.
Oh.
So just all my bowl of cereal just crawling around on me. God. Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
That's why you got to get those containers, man. I'm right. I'm just saying, I agree. I've got the containers too.
That's you know what? That hasn't happened since I've had the containers. Spidey in the shower and in the toilet, which at some point in your life that has been a worst fear. It just has been.
Oh, I had that flashback. I actually a couple years back, I was literally installing a new toilet seat onto my parents' toilet, and I had to get up underneath to unscrew the old toilet seat off. And as I'm reaching behind underneath the toilet seat to get to that bolt to unscrew the old toilet seat, I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I just remembered the movie and immediately jerked my hand back.
Okay, I thought you were actually going to have a story, but you just...
No. I'm just pointing out how this movie is traumatizing.
It is.
Warning to our viewers.
I absolutely give it that. This movie didn't need this scene. They were going for comedy, but realistically, I feel like everybody who watched it just it was just awkward. The dad, the brother, all running into seeing like their daughter and sister naked in the shower, like...
Oh yeah,
that was probably paid for laughs, but that just awkward, and like what I had running through my mind was, thank fucking Christ that never happened.
Right. Yes. I'm thinking, because we are talking about the 90s here, I'm sure that had to be a studio note of you got to get a girl in the shower in this movie.
Probably. You know? I can see it. I can see that. Oh, they do catch one in the house, and Goodman shows up to the house, misses that bathroom check, but which is what you were just referring to when he's searching around the toilet, finds one out on the deck. Now, here is actually just a genuine fun fact, no morbidity to this one. The boot that John Goodman was wearing, what they had is they had a section cut out of the boot and replaced with like the softest foam possible. So when Goodman stomped on that spider, it went into an empty hole that was like very soft. So he like even that spider didn't die. Like they
Was that Heineman again? Or was that Jamie Heineman again? Was that his work as well?
I don't know. Heineman was specifically the credit that he got on this one was that he created Big Boy, which is what they called the spider.
Right. Okay.
Which
that's fantastic. You should have opened with that.
Jamie, you did good making Big Boy.
We should have been calling him Big Boy this whole time instead of just that a South American spider. We should have been calling him by his name.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we got a few minutes left. We'll go by Big Boy from here forward.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, okay. The spray isn't gonna work. And then I like that. So after he does squash that boot, he does that. Oh, that's right. I'm bad.
That's right.
Which it's nice to know where I probably got that from. Because I've quoted that about 1 million times in my life every time I've done something accidentally cool.
Right, exactly, yes.
I could believe that I got it from 100 other sources, but I very much can believe that I got it from John Goodman. Because as we're going through all of these older Goodman films, I'm really realizing how much I looked up to him as a dad. Just like, I was like, dude, that's who you want to be. That's who you want to grow up to be. I mean, John Connor was... Dan Connor?
Dan Connor.
Thank you. John Connor's Terminator, my bad.
Also, not a great father, but still a decent man.
Furlong?
No, Furlong. Oh, no, wait. That's right. He was John Connor. Right.
Yeah.
He was okay. Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking Reese.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking Reese.
Okay,
you're right.
Enough.
I was thinking Reese. Yes.
Which I just went back and I watched Aliens because I hadn't seen it in forever. And man, he's awesome. He did not get I feel like he didn't go as far as he should have, even though he is in a ton of stuff.
And what's his name again?
I was just about to ask you if you can remember his name. That's kind of criminal for how many amazing and iconic films and roles he's had.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. No, I know. I want to give the man the respect. Anybody in the chat? Can you remember what his name is from? He played Reese in Terminator. Or wow, the Terminator. God, everything has just been Terminator 2, Terminator Judgment Day, all of that. I haven't heard of the Terminator since then. Jesus Christ, dude, it's Michael Biehn.
Oh, what? This whole time?
Kyle Reese, Michael Biehn.
How did I never put that together this whole time?
I'm literally thinking of him in Tombstone, and I am unable to recognize him as either the character in Aliens or Reese in The Terminator. Michael Biehn is a much better actor than I ever gave him credit for, even though I have constantly given him credit every time I have realized it's him.
You know, that must be his downfall. That may be the answer to your question. The reason why he's never
like a Sam Rockwell?
Kind of, yeah. He's too good of an actor. He never gets recognized.
Wow, I didn't even realize that was the same. Wow. This is why I'm glad we're doing this. I'm keying in on things that I never realized. I'm really enjoying that. Yeah. Where are we at here? Oh, so the Spidey doc shows up and dissects our spider. No sex organs. They're drones. Short life cycle.
Extra venom sacs.
Yes.
Like this is
more deadly. Don't live as long. But basically, he does still give us our doomsday scenario of they're going to spread and take over the country, and it's like.
Right.
Damn.
They're like invasive species type thing. Like these things were contained in a sinkhole in South America. That's the only reason they haven't killed everyone.
Yeah, kind of insinuating since the time of the dinosaurs, which is why their venom is so powerful. But at the same time, if you have been in seclusion and isolation since the time of the dinosaurs, wouldn't you evolve to not need that kind of venom?
I mean, we
That's
are
real.
talking
That's
about
real world science that we're
yeah.
throwing on a horror movie. Never mind.
But but we're also talking about a South American rainforest creature. Like that's
Okay,
the
yeah,
Thunderdome right there.
that is true. They got They got dart frogs that can kill you. Like,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I got to give you that one. Uh, okay, let's see. Then the hunt to find the source begins, and how long did it take you to realize that the funeral home director's wife was Mimi Bobek?
Oh, right away. I recognized her.
It wasn't
on
until
sight.
Wheel. It was not until Wheel. And when she started talking, she started scowling at the screen. I was like, oh, that's Mimi.
It's the trademark scowl had to show.
That's what I needed. Yeah. I saw through it without the makeup. I didn't need the makeup, but man, I needed her Mimi scowl.
There's
okay. Oh.
How old do you have to be to know who we're talking about? That's what I want to know.
Oh man, don't do this to me. Come on. No.
Hey,
I didn't
gotta live with it.
I know, but the Drew Carey show, I forgot that it actually is a little bit older. That's a 90s. Yeah. That's a 90s TV show.
It's not one that gets a lot of reruns like Seinfeld or Friends is getting right now. So
no, that's a good point. That's
kind of a relic.
That's kind of like, that's where like Craig Ferguson, like he got like his really big break in America, like outside of doing like his stand-up comedy and everything. Like
before he had the Craig Ferguson show, he was
late night, late
in the Drew Carey show,
no, he was diabolically hilarious in that show, at least as far as I can remember. It's been 20 years since I've seen it. Fuck. Let's see. Finds the web in the barn, which I thought it was really nice that the photography, that like the way that the film put it together on how he found the web in the barn, because I was the whole movie I was like, how are they gonna luck their way into finding this? But the way they did, I thought like, it actually worked. It was constructed, it was crafted very well together.
Yeah, all very well pieced together. Yes, that he the photography and it's hung and her and she like just. I'm your wife. I'm going to decorate your office. I'm going to hang my photos up on your wall.
Which if you're not married, that is accurate.
Yep. And let's be honest, I mean, would any other doctor in the world think it's a good idea to put spider web pictures on his doctor's office wall?
Oh, come on. If you're a country town, you got country town taste.
Okay.
A beautiful spider web in a barn. Because I'm going to tell you this flat out. Where I'm from, way more frozen than where you're from. Just
okay, sure, yeah.
Flat, I mean, that's just a fact. It's the coldest place in the U.S.
Yeah.
So when we would get those times where you would see a spider web turn into icicles.
That is cool.
That is outstandingly beautiful. So like small town photography, there are different things like I get different types of beauty, different types of appreciation. Most city people aren't going to give a shit about a wagon wheel. Country person, they can make that work.
Okay, and that's fair. I just thought it was weird to have it in a doctor's office. I can understand having it in like a real estate office, but a doctor's office, it's a little morbid.
Oh, I see less of a reason to have it in a real estate office than I do in a doctor's office. Real estate, you're trying to get the right time of like frame of mind going in. You aren't trying to creep people out. But I mean, like different strokes for different folks.
When you're trying to show them the beautiful kitchenette set, you don't want them looking for spider webs. That's fair. Okay, yeah.
I think this is the greatest line in this entire movie. Web would indicate an arachnoid presence.
Yes. Delivered with absolute perfection by... No. You know what? Here's the thing. We're going to give the man what he's due. He's not just John Goodman anymore. He is now the John Goodman.
Okay.
That line was delivered with perfection by the John Goodman.
I have no just cause to provide any kind of argument there. In my eyes, he is the John Goodman. So I got to give you that. Oh, that poor cat. And then when he rings the supper bell and Big Boy comes flying out from the side.
Which, my God, of all the things, like, this guy is supposed to be like the genius that comes in to save the day. That must have been the dumbest thing anyone could ever do.
See, I learned from this movie to do that.
Oh, to flick the thing to bring the spider out?
Yes, because if you don't know where it's at, if you just hit it, it's not going to jump at you. It's going to crawl across that web because it thinks that there's something in the web.
That is a very good point. This just happened to be a spider that outsmarted him.
This just happened to be the ancient Big Boy from...
right, the ancient big boy that came here on a very elaborate revenge plot.
Different level of intelligence on this one. But that is kind of little less fun fact, which is kind of real world fact. If you do see a spider web and all that, and you can't see the spider and you want to know where it's at, just kind of flick one of the webs and you will see it like start searching, come to the web and start searching the web for the food that just got caught.
Right. Yep.
No, that is I've used that to find black widows and everything like that because nope. I'm like, I want to know where you're at. I'm gonna kill you. I'm moving on with my day.
Right.
Goodman shows up and the spiders don't mess with him. And like, and it's true. Like he shows up and it's like literally like, whoa, that's the John Goodman. Right. And they like keep like kind of like back up and they step away from him, and he finds his way into the house. Go ahead.
I can't remember exactly. Has he gotten the pesticide at this point yet, or is he?
This is what he went to go get. So this is when he came back. He has all of that. And
he's got the clearly illegal pesticide on a tank in his back.
Oh, that is military grade. That is weapons grade pesticide there.
That is yeah.
That's like, no, he was ready. Let's see where I keep losing this. The spider reveal just absolutely covering the house and attacking the bathroom, coming up out of the pipes and. Jumping out the window, and when he was like getting lower and lower because they were all like coming down. The anxiety. This was
the truly if this movie can be classified as a horror movie, this was the horror movie scene. Was when the house gets swarmed. Because there is no part of this scene that you're not going, oh God, oh God, oh God.
And the fact that everything was real spiders and all that. Now, in an interview, John Goodman said that he had no problem with the spiders. It was a thing like we saw eye to eye. Well, your 2 eyes, they're 16 eyes. That is a direct quote from Goodman. Daniels was a little bit more human and went like, you got to be crazy if you're not at least a little bit freaked out by this.
Yeah.
Which was funny because Daniels was the one who was in the middle of everything.
He was the one who was dodging the spiders the most, especially like you say in that scene where he's trying to crawl out the window and there's 4 of them coming down at him on their webs. Like that's a pants shitting moment right there. Like the fact, like how many takes
Tony
did
Todd
that poor man
and
have
bees,
to do?
Jeff Daniels and the spiders. I don't
exactly.
Tony Todd wins because they were in his mouth, but
it's a close second with Daniels having to literally have these spiders just real spiders dropping down on him.
Yes,
Jesus.
Yes, falls through the floor, and
now we get the face off, the boss fight.
Well. No. Wait.
No?
Yes. Okay. No.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't Big Boy. That was was the mama.
The queen. Right. The new queen. Yes.
Yeah. So the new queen was down there, and that was the thing because like all the spiders that were like on his body, he falls through the floor, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore, and I'm like,
right.
Okay, you've suspended my disbelief. Let's just keep going. Whatever.
Right.
And then like that little battle that he has with the queen, and then like she's on the shovel, and then we get the electrocuted queen.
that was pretty clever how he's like sitting there holding the shovel, searching for her everywhere, going like, I'm gonna get you. And then at one point he turns around and the camera stays in place as he's turning, and we see the spider on the shovel, just like right there. That was clever.
We've talked about this whole movie, and this is the moment that everything just starts feeling like it's on me. Just, oh my God. Chucks her at the electrical box. And then, we get the electrocuted queen. But then Big Boy returns, and we see that just pulsate. Like, he's going to set that pulsating egg sac on fire, and...
which, that was gross.
That was very gross.
Egg sac was just fucking... Like, that's straight out of Aliens right there.
That was intensely disgusting, yes.
I don't know for sure which one came first. I can't remember. But if Aliens was second, they straight up stole their look from that egg sac.
Wasn't Alien a 70s movie?
Oh, you're right. Okay, so Alien did come first. Okay, so they probably got their influence from it. They were like, let's make this egg sac look like something from Alien. Like,
that would be my assumption there.
Yeah.
But now I gotta stop talking about Elden Ring. Pulsating egg sac, the Big Boy returns, and Big Boy dodges the flames like an Elden Ring pro. I'm telling you, man.
You wrote that note down before we even had our talk about video games. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That was literally my note. During, like, I gotta take a break. And then Chekhov's nail gun. Oh, yep. No. Sorry. Big Boy is in the air vent, and he sets himself up to like prepare and listening to Big Boy going through the air vent, and the sound of them little feet on the thin aluminum. Like, you can imagine that echo and what it would sound like. That gotcha. Then he falls down. This whole movie, all these things that are happening. Now he freezes, like in the story that he was talking about earlier in the movie, and like, and basically the exact story that he was talking about earlier in the movie is what is happening.
It was the callback. It's the callback to, and that's kind. I think that's kind of the point. Is the whole like conquering of the fear kind of thing is because it's a recreation of the memory he had that started his fear of spiders. Now in his big moment of saving the town, his big hero moment of overcoming that original fear.
I'll give you that. Okay.
Even though he didn't overcome the fear, he was still terrified of spiders in general afterwards.
Well, he did shoot it with that nail gun, so he...
Yes, he did. He succeeded when it was important. Yeah, he succeeded where it was important. Yes.
Yes, with Chekhov's nail gun.
Yep. Cock it like a shotgun.
Which we keep talking about like Chekhov's gun and like keep making this joke about like Chekhov's white glove or whatever the hell is in the movie.
Right.
To explain that, the whole Chekhov's gun thing is kind of a rule that says if you put it in the movie, it has to be for a reason. If you show it, if you talk about it, it has to return for a reason.
It is just I'm very not 100%. Rule. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm relatively sure the rule, his specific quote was, if you show me a gun in the first act, it better go off by the third.
I don't know the exact quote, but I do know that is the rule. Like,
right.
But we'll check that out. The ones Dilbert didn't get are dying, and we talked about that earlier with the short lifespan. And then back to San Francisco and completely brushing off an earthquake like it's nothing. At least it's not a spider.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And that is,
and I think the interesting thing there, I think that like that final kind of like note there is nature is trying to kill us all. It's all about which nature trying to kill
always. That's why we went indoors.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's like they went to the country. Nature tried to kill them with spiders. They're like, fuck it, let's go back to San Francisco where nature is only trying to kill us with earthquakes. We know how to handle that.
Yeah. Earthquakes, tsunamis. No. Let's go back to the ocean. Sharks.
Right.
We got sharks and jellyfish. So that is Arachnophobia. Final thoughts?
I want to say that this is a must-see. This is one of those movies that I saw in the theater as a kid, and I have never missed up an opportunity to watch it again. I own it on DVD. I own a poster of it. I loved this. This is probably one of those movies that has repeatedly come back to me on multiple occasions. And, whenever anyone brings up Jeff Daniels or John Goodman, I always say, oh, you got to see him in this movie. This is where they really shine.
I try to send as many people as I can to King Ralph. I do.
Yeah. See, there you go. Yeah.
Straight up, the movie fight, I'm just giving it to Arachnophobia. I'm not even going to fight for King Ralph. There's too many things about that. But just like we were talking about last week with The Wrong Guy and all that,
right?
I really want to send people to go watch The Wrong Guy. I really want to send people to go watch King Ralph, even though as far as the movie fight goes, Arachnophobia just decimates King Ralph.
I can see it there, yeah. I'm still trying to figure out if I really want to call it a must-see. Like, that's
Arachnophobia?
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. There's like, if anybody ever tried to make a film like this again, they're not going to use real spiders. They're going to use CG. They're not going to do this again. This movie is
that's true.
Not singular because they have other movies where they use spiders. They didn't do it this good.
No, that's very true.
This is the best of what they, this is the best movie, the best version of what they tried to pull off. Arachnophobia wins.
I remember years ago when I was trying to get, but this was, I'll tell you how many years ago this was. They weren't selling DVDs on Amazon yet. That's how long ago this was. Okay. So that's why I had to go around
wait. Amazon existed, but they didn't sell DVDs on it?
Yeah. For a long time, Amazon only sold books.
I did not know that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was going around to different DVD stores trying to buy my copy that because I knew I wanted it on DVD. I had it on VHS already, and now that DVDs were a thing, and I just got a DVD player, I wanted my Arachnophobia DVD. I stopped at multiple DVD stores going, I'm looking for Arachnophobia, and they're like, "What's that? Never heard of it." I go, "It's about a town that gets invaded by mutant spiders," and they go, "You mean 8-legged freaks?" I'm like, "No, Arachnophobia." And this happened multiple, like 4 stores in a row. They were like, "Do you mean 8-legged freaks?" No, I would have said 8-legged freaks.
Okay, well, there is something that 8-legged freaks had that Arachnophobia did not have.
Scarlett Johansson?
Correct.
Okay.
Dude, she became a star. She became a megastar. She hit the ground running, and just, it is what it is.
Yeah, I know. I still actually haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it forever, but yeah, I have seen it. But what do you got for next week? It is my turn to do the horror film.
Okay, well, you say that, but what
do you got?
I have a double feature in mind.
Oh, what do you got?
If you're interested. And it's actually in direct response to King Ralph. I think we might actually have a trilogy on our hands here.
What?
If you're interested.
All right, what do you got?
So the first one I had in mind is a movie that you probably heard of this one because it's a little bit more recent. It's called Dave, starring Kevin Kline.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, and in that one, Kevin Kline plays the President of the United States, as well as a man who looks exactly like the President of the United States and has to pretend to be the President of the United States.
And then fixes the country because he treats it like a small business.
Exactly, yes.
I remember. Yeah, no, that's a wonderful movie.
Yep. And then the third one in this trilogy, number 2, similar premise. This one's from about 10 years before that, I think. I don't remember exactly when, but this one is called Moon Over Parador.
Not a clue.
It stars Richard Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss plays I believe a daytime soap opera actor who is kidnapped and forced to impersonate a recently deceased dictator of a small Eastern European country called Parador.
The premise sounds really familiar.
Yeah. And so basically in response I'm thinking with King Ralph, where it's, an American everyday man becomes King of England, we have 2 other movies of everyday men being made the most powerful men in a country and how that everyday commoner approach to big government goes. So we got King Ralph, Dave, and Moon over Parador, and I would like to I would like to kind of not so much a who did it best kind of thing, but more of a let's take a look at this overarching philosophy of everyday common sense versus big government.
The episode after next.
Okay, I'm fine with that then.
Because next week our episode is on Halloween. We have to do a Halloween themed. If it's on Halloween, we gotta.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Well, we do go ahead and tell me yours then. I got to look at my list to see what I've got instead of Dave and Parador.
I have an audience recommendation, which I'm very happy about. 13 Ghosts.
Oh, 13. Okay, I've heard of that. I did never see it.
With Tony Shalhoub, Matthew Lillard, and is it Elizabeth Shannon?
From American Pie?
Yes.
Then yeah, Elizabeth Shannon.
Okay, yes. All right, so those are, I believe those are your 3 top tiers, or top build in this one.
That's pretty good.
I really enjoyed this one.
Isn't what's his name? The Shanghai Noon guy, isn't he in it too?
Owen Wilson?
Owen Wilson, yeah, isn't he in it? Or is that a different horror movie I'm thinking of?
It's been too long. I honestly can't say one way or the other if he's in that one.
13 Ghosts. Okay.
All right, so what do you got from me?
Okay, so the next closest thing I have to a horror movie, this one, I don't remember a lot of it. It's always kind of been a movie I've appreciated because of the circumstances around which I saw it.
Okay.
And so even though I've never really seen it again, I have fond memories of it, even though it's a horror movie. So this is called Serpent and the Rainbow.
What?
You never heard of this?
No, Doc, that sounds like a lecture in Sunday school.
It's really not.
Okay. So is it like light horror, or is it like am I gonna get scared? Is it gonna get a scare out of me?
Maybe, possibly.
Okay. Well, 13 Ghosts is it's gonna get you a couple times.
Okay. Here's the thing. I know specifically. I remember specifically. It is technically a horror movie because the company of which I was watching it with were die-hard horror fans, and that was basically what we were watching that night.
Okay.
And I do remember that of the movies we saw that night, that was the slightly more cerebral one that I thought was better of the group, because it was more than just a horror movie.
Okay.
So
one more time, what was that title?
The Serpent and the Rainbow.
How did I forget that? All right, so next week we will be covering The Serpent and the Rainbow. That was weird to say. And 13 Ghosts. All right, guys, thanks for joining us for this week's episode. And if you have no plans on Halloween, we'll see you then.